Hard to the Bone. Chapter 1. The Invisible Man. The alarm blares at 5:30 a.m. I slam my hand against it, not because I'm eager to start the day, but because the sound pierces through my skull like an ice pick. The apartment is cold. The heat doesn't kick in until 6, and the landlord refuses to change the timer despite numerous complaints from tenants. Not that my complaints would matter anyway. I roll out of bed, my feet hitting the worn carpet. My body feels heavy, like always. At 34, I'm already well on my way to looking like a middle-aged man who's given up. The mirror confirms this as I shuffle into the bathroom. Overweight, thinning hair, bags under my eyes that never seem to go away no matter how much sleep I get. This is Nathan Holloway. Nate to the few who bother to address me at all. The shower runs lukewarm at best. I lather, rinse, then stand there until the water turns cold, which doesn't take long. My morning routine is mechanical. Brush teeth, shave the patchy stubble that refuses to grow into a proper beard. Dress in one of 5 identical button-up shirts and slacks I cycle through each week. Breakfast is a granola bar eaten while I put on my shoes. Outside, the city is just waking up. My apartment building sits in a forgotten neighborhood that developers haven't bothered to gentrify yet. Cracked sidewalks, graffiti-covered walls. A homeless man sleeps in the alcove of the abandoned storefront next door. I step around him, just like I do every morning. 3 blocks down, I reach the corner where Mr. Patel sets up his coffee cart. He's already there, arranging paper cups and stirrers with methodical precision. Steam rises from the coffee urns, creating a small cloud in the chilly morning air. "Ah, Mr. Nate. Right on time as always," Mr. Patel says, his accent thick but warm. He's the only person who calls me Mr. Anything. "The usual today?" "Yeah, thanks," I say, digging into my pocket for exact change. $2.75 for a large coffee with 1 cream, no sugar. Mr. Patel is in his 70s, I think. He never talks about his age, but the deep lines in his face tell stories of a long, hard life. He immigrated from India decades ago, built a small convenience store business that failed during the recession, and now runs this coffee cart 7 days a week, rain or shine. "Cold morning today," he says, pouring my coffee with the steady hand of someone who's performed the same action thousands of times. "But sun is coming. Will be nice day, I think." "Hope so," I reply, though I won't see much of it from the windowless mailroom where I work. Mr. Patel hands me the coffee and smiles. His eyes crinkle at the corners, genuine warmth radiating from them. "You have good day, Mr. Nate. Remember, sometimes life surprises us when we least expect." I nod, not really believing it, but appreciating the sentiment. Mr. Patel is the closest thing I have to a friend, and our entire relationship consists of these brief daily exchanges. Still, there's something. They remind me that I exist, that someone notices me, even if it's just the old man who sells me coffee. "You too, Mr. Patel," I say, and continue on my way. The subway station is crowded with morning commuters. I squeeze myself onto a train, trying to take up as little space as possible despite my size. People press against me on all sides, yet somehow I remain invisible. No one makes eye contact. No one says excuse me when they bump into me. I'm just another body taking up space in a city of millions. 20 minutes later, I exit at my stop in the financial district. Glass and steel buildings tower overhead, monuments to success I will never achieve. I walk 2 blocks to the Rosemont building, a 40-story behemoth housing dozens of companies. I flash my ID badge at security, who barely glances at it before waving me through. 5 years at this job, and the guard still doesn't recognize me. The elevator descends to the basement level instead of going up. That's where the mailroom is located. I've worked for Dryden Financial Services since I dropped out of community college. Started in the mailroom, and 15 years later, I'm still in the mailroom. Not for lack of opportunities to move up, there have been a few, but because I never reach for them. The mailroom is safe, predictable. No one expects much from me, which means I can't disappoint anyone. "Morning, Holloway," Vince says as I enter. He's the supervisor, 10 years younger than me with an MBA he never uses. He doesn't look up from his phone. "Morning," I reply, hanging my jacket on the rack and setting my coffee on my desk. There are 4 of us who work in the mailroom. Vince, who handles scheduling and signs reports. Jesse, a college student who works part-time. Derek, an ex-con trying to rebuild his life. And me, the one who's been here long enough to know where everything goes, but not long enough to matter. "Got a big shipment coming in around 10, Vince says. "Reports for the quarterly meeting. Need them sorted and delivered by noon." I nod, though he isn't looking at me. It doesn't matter. He knows I'll do it. I always do. I tackle the morning mail first, sorting envelopes and packages into carts based on department. By 8:30, I'm pushing the first cart through the building, making deliveries. This is the part of the job I don't mind so much. I get to move around, see different parts of the building. Sometimes I imagine what it would be like to work in those bright, window-lined offices instead of the fluorescent-lit basement. Most people don't acknowledge me when I drop off their mail. I'm just the mailroom guy, part of the building's infrastructure like the elevators or the water fountains. Occasionally, someone will say thanks, and that's enough to make my day slightly less monotonous. By lunchtime, I've delivered all the reports Vince mentioned. I eat my brown-bagged lunch, a turkey sandwich and an apple, at my desk while scrolling through news on my phone. Nothing changes in my world, but at least I can read about changes in everyone else's. The afternoon proceeds exactly like every other afternoon. More mail, more deliveries. By 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out and heading back to the subway. The evening commute is just as crowded as the morning one, bodies packed together in uncomfortable proximity. I stand near the door, holding the overhead rail, watching the stations blur past the windows. My stop comes up. I squeeze out onto the platform and climb the stairs back to street level. The neighborhood looks different at night, more dangerous. The gang activity has been increasing over the past year. The East Side Killers, they call themselves. Mostly young guys running drugs and protection rackets. The police presence is minimal here. This isn't a priority neighborhood. As I turn onto my street, I see Trixie leaning against a lamppost. She's wearing a short skirt despite the cool evening, her long legs ending in impossibly high heels. She's been working this corner for at least 3 years, maybe longer. I'm not sure of her real name. Everyone just calls her Trixie. "Hey, big guy," she calls out as I approach. It's just her standard greeting, nothing personal. She says it to all the men who pass by, potential customers or not. "Evening," I reply, not breaking stride. "Cold one tonight," she says, rubbing her bare arms for emphasis. "Might need to find someone warm to cuddle up to." I give her a polite nod but keep walking. This is our routine. She makes suggestive comments. I acknowledge them without engaging. I've never been one of her customers, never even considered it. It's not moral objection so much as the certainty that even in a paid transaction, I'd somehow disappoint. "Stay safe," I say, which is what I always say. You too, sweetie, she replies with a wink. My apartment is exactly as I left it this morning. I turn on the lights, check the mail, bills mostly, and hang up my jacket. Dinner is a frozen meal heated in the microwave. I eat it while watching whatever's on TV, not really paying attention to the plot or characters. By 10, I'm in bed, setting my alarm for 5:30 a.m., ready to do it all again tomorrow. This is my life. Day after day, week after week, year after year. I don't dream of something better. I don't fantasize about escape. This is all there is, and it's enough to get by. I close my eyes and let sleep take me. The only true escape I know. The next morning starts like every other. Alarm, shower, dress, leave. The same homeless man is in the same alcove. The same cracked sidewalk trips me up at the same spot. Everything is as it should be until it isn't. As I approach Mr. Patel's coffee cart, I notice something different. There's a group of young men hanging around it. 3 of them. They wear identical red bandanas, the mark of the East Side Killers. My steps slow. Something about their posture, their energy, feels wrong, threatening. Mr. Patel stands behind his cart, his posture stiff. Even from a distance, I can see the tension in his shoulders, the forced smile on his face. One of the gang members leans over the cart, saying something I can't hear. I should turn around, walk away, find another coffee shop. It's the smart thing to do. Instead, I keep walking toward them. Not because I'm brave, I'm not. Not because I think I can help, I can't. I keep walking because this is my routine, and deviating from it requires a decision, an action. It's easier to just continue forward. I'm halfway there when I hear voices raised. The gang member is gesturing angrily now. Mr. Patel shakes his head, saying something that seems to further agitate the young man. The other 2 gang members spread out slightly, creating a semicircle around the cart. I should really turn around now. My feet carry me forward. 20 feet away now. I can hear them clearly. We're not asking, old man, the leader says. He's young, maybe 20, with a face still spotty from adolescent acne. This is our neighborhood. You pay for protection, or bad things happen. Simple as that. Please, Mr. Patel says, his voice steady despite the fear evident in his eyes. I make very little money. I cannot afford what you ask. Make little money, huh? The gang member reaches into the cash box sitting on the cart. Let's see what you got in here. Mr. Patel's hand darts out, grabbing the young man's wrist. No, that is my livelihood. Everything happens very fast after that. The gang member yanks his hand back, cursing. His other hand reaches behind him and comes back holding a gun. Mr. Patel's eyes widen. There's a sharp crack, and suddenly Mr. Patel is falling backward, a red stain blossoming on his chest. I freeze. I'm close enough now that they notice me. The one with the gun swings it toward me. Our eyes meet. His are cold, emotionless. I see his finger tighten on the trigger. Another crack, louder than anything I've ever heard. Something hits me in the forehead with incredible force. The world tilts sideways, the sky and ground switch places. Then everything goes black. Beeping. Steady, rhythmic beeping. That's the first thing I become aware of. The second is pain, a throbbing ache in my head that pulses in time with the beeping. The third is voices, muffled at first, then gradually becoming clearer. Should be dead. Shot point blank in the forehead. The bullet should have gone straight through his brain. But it didn't. It deflected. Look at the CT scan. It's like it hit concrete and ricocheted off. And you're saying his skull is like this throughout? Not just the impact area? Yes. His entire skeletal structure shows the same abnormal density. It's a genetic condition, extremely rare. His bones are approximately 3 times denser than normal human bones. Has he been diagnosed before? Did he know about this? No medical records indicating any prior diagnosis. As far as we can tell, he had no idea. I open my eyes slowly. The light is blinding at first. I blink several times until the world comes into focus. I'm in a hospital room. 2 doctors stand at the foot of my bed, studying a tablet. A steady beep comes from a machine to my right. "He's awake," one of the doctors says. A woman with short gray hair and glasses. She approaches my bedside. "Mr. Holloway? Can you hear me?" I try to speak, but my throat is dry. I manage a weak yes. "I'm Dr. Reeves. You're at Metro General Hospital. Do you remember what happened to you?" Fragments of memory flash through my mind. The coffee cart, Mr. Patel, the gang members, the gun. "I was shot," I say, my voice barely a whisper. Dr. Reeves nods. "Yes, you were." In the forehead, in fact. She gestures to the other doctor, a younger man with a beard. "This is Dr. Chen, our radiologist. He's been studying your scans. We'd like to talk to you about something quite remarkable." I try to sit up, wincing at the pain in my head. "Careful," Dr. Chen says, adjusting the bed to help me into a sitting position. "You have a severe concussion and 20 stitches where the bullet grazed your skull. But the fact that you're alive at all is, frankly, a medical miracle." "What about Mr. Patel?" I ask. "The man who runs the coffee cart. He was shot too." The doctors exchange glances. Dr. Reeves's expression softens, and I know the answer before she speaks. "I'm sorry, Mr. Holloway. He didn't make it. The bullet pierced his heart. He died at the scene." Something cold and heavy settles in my chest. Mr. Patel is dead. The kind old man who remembered how I take my coffee, who wished me a good day every morning for years, who called me Mr. Nate like I deserved some form of respect. Gone. "Mr. Holloway," Dr. Chen says, drawing my attention back to him. "We need to discuss your condition, your very unusual condition." He shows me the tablet he's holding. On it is what looks like an X-ray of a skull. My skull, presumably. "The density of your bones is extraordinary. When the bullet struck your forehead, instead of penetrating, it essentially bounced off. It still caused damage, tore the skin, gave you a severe concussion, but it didn't penetrate your skull at all. And it's not just your skull," Dr. Reeves adds. "It's your entire skeletal structure. Your bones are approximately 3 times denser than average. It's a genetic mutation, extremely rare. Have you ever noticed anything unusual? Difficulty swimming, perhaps? Injuries that seemed less severe than they should have been?" I think back. I'm not an active person. I don't swim. I've never broken a bone, but I've never done anything that might result in breaking one either. The most serious injury I've had was spraining my ankle in high school, and even that healed quickly. "No," I reply. "Nothing." "Well, Mr. Holloway, Dr. Reeves says, to put it simply, you have what we might call unbreakable bones. Under normal circumstances, a bullet to the head is fatal. In your case, your unusually dense skull deflected it. You're incredibly lucky." Lucky. The word feels wrong. Mr. Patel is dead. I'm alive only because of some genetic quirk I never knew about. There's nothing lucky about any of this. The police will want to talk to you, Dr. Reeves continues. You're a witness to a murder, but we'd like to run a few more tests first, if that's all right. Your condition is quite fascinating from a medical perspective. I nod, not really caring about tests or police or anything else. All I can think about is Mr. Patel lying on the pavement, blood spreading across his chest, while I was unconscious a few feet away. I'll let the officers know you're awake, Dr. Reeves says, misinterpreting my nod as enthusiasm for her plan. Try to rest for now. I'll be back to check on you in a bit. The doctors leave, and I'm alone with the steady beeping of the heart monitor. I stare at the ceiling, trying to process everything that's happened. Mr. Patel is dead. I was shot in the head and survived because my bones are unbreakable. None of it feels real. A nurse comes in to check my vitals. She's efficient and impersonal, adjusting tubes and reading numbers from machines. After she leaves, a police officer arrives, a tired-looking man in his 50s with a notebook in hand. Mr. Holloway? I'm Detective Briscoe, he says, showing me his badge. I know you've been through a lot, but I need to ask you a few questions about what happened this morning. I tell him everything I can remember. The gang members at the coffee cart. The argument about protection money. Mr. Patel grabbing the young man's wrist. The gun. The shots. Would you recognize any of them if you saw them again? Detective Briscoe asks. Yes, I say, the leader's face clear in my memory, the cold eyes that looked at me before he pulled the trigger. East Side Killers, Briscoe says, writing in his notebook. They've been getting more aggressive in that neighborhood. Usually stick to drug dealing, but they've been branching out into protection rackets lately. He looks up at me. You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Holloway. Doctor says you've got some kind of super dense bones. Bullet bounced right off your head. That's what they tell me. Briscoe nods. Well, we'll do what we can to find these guys, but I'll be straight with you. Gang shootings aren't high priority for the department unless the victim is someone important. No offense. What about Mr. Patel? The coffee vendor? We'll investigate, sure, but... He shrugs, not needing to finish the sentence. Mr. Patel isn't important either. Just another statistic in a city full of them. I'll need you to come down to the station when you're released, Briscoe continues. Look at some photos, maybe work with a sketch artist. In the meantime, here's my card. Call if you remember anything else. He leaves the card on the bedside table and sees himself out. I pick up the card, staring at the embossed letters and numbers without really seeing them. The detective's attitude is clear. This case won't be solved. The gang members who killed Mr. Patel and tried to kill me will get away with it. The police don't have the resources or motivation to pursue justice for an elderly immigrant and a mailroom nobody. I'm released from the hospital the next day with a prescription for pain medication and instructions to follow up with my primary care physician, which I don't have. The concussion symptoms will fade with time, they tell me. The stitches will need to be removed in 10 days. As for my condition, they recommend I see a specialist, though they can't tell me what kind. I take a taxi back to my apartment, using money I can't really spare. The driver glances at the bandage on my forehead, but doesn't ask questions. When I arrive home, everything is exactly as I left it yesterday morning. The breakfast dishes in the sink, the bed unmade. It feels like a lifetime ago. I stand in the middle of my apartment, uncertain what to do. I should call work, let them know what happened. I should eat something. I should rest. Instead, I find myself drawn to the window, looking out at the street below. Somewhere out there are the men who killed Mr. Patel. They're free, going about their lives, while he's gone forever. My head throbs. I take one of the pain pills and lie down on the bed, not bothering to undress. Sleep comes quickly, dragging me into darkness. I attend Mr. Patel's funeral 3 days later. It's a small affair at a local funeral home. His son flew in from Chicago. There's a daughter, too, living in London, who couldn't make it in time. A handful of other people are there. Shop owners from the neighborhood, regular customers like me. The service is brief, a mix of Hindu traditions and American funeral customs. Mr. Patel's son gives a short eulogy about his father's journey from India, his dreams of success in America, his dedication to family even after his wife passed away years ago. I sit in the back row, the bandage on my forehead drawing curious glances. I don't speak to anyone. What would I say? That I watched his father die and did nothing? That I'm alive only because of a genetic abnormality I never knew about? After the service, Mr. Patel's son approaches me. "You're Nate, yes?" The one who was there? His accent is pure American, unlike his father's. I nod, unable to meet his eyes. "The police told me you were injured trying to help my father," he says. "Thank you for that." "I didn't help him," I reply, the words bitter in my mouth. "I just stood there." He places a hand on my shoulder. "You were there. That's more than most would do." He pauses. Will they find the men who did this? I think of Detective Briscoe's dismissive attitude. I don't know. Mr. Patel's son sighs, his shoulders slumping slightly. I feared as much. These neighborhoods, the police don't care much, do they? He straightens up, adjusts his tie. Well, I must attend to the other guests. Thank you for coming, Nate. My father spoke of you often in our phone calls. He considered you a friend. He walks away, leaving me stunned. Mr. Patel talked about me to his family, considered me a friend. The idea feels foreign, undeserved. I was just a customer, a face in his day. Yet he remembered my name, my coffee order, asked about my day, wished me well. Perhaps that was friendship to him. These small, daily connections in a neighborhood where most people pass each other without a glance. I leave the funeral home and walk the 20 blocks back to my apartment, ignoring the ache in my head. The city continues around me, oblivious to my existence, to Mr. Patel's death. Traffic flows. People hurry past. Life moves on. But something in me has shifted. A crack has formed in the monotonous shell of my existence. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I feel something strong and clear. Rage. Rage at the gang members who killed a kind old man over pocket change. Rage at the police who won't pursue justice. Rage at myself for standing there, useless. And beneath the rage, a realization. I should be dead. The bullet that hit me straight on should have killed me instantly. Instead, I'm alive, walking these streets with an unbreakable skull and a bandage on my forehead. Why am I alive when Mr. Patel is dead? What's the point of having this condition if it didn't help me save him? By the time I reach my apartment, a decision has formed in my mind. If the police won't find the men who killed Mr. Patel, I will. If the justice system won't punish them, I will. I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to track down criminals. I'm an overweight mailroom clerk with no special skills or training, but I have one advantage: bones that don't break. A body that can withstand punishment, that would cripple others. It's not much, but it's something. And for once in my life, I'm going to use what I have instead of doing nothing. Inside my apartment, I go straight to the bathroom and remove the bandage from my forehead. The stitches make a dark line against my skin, the area around them bruised purple and yellow. I stare at my reflection, the same unremarkable face I've seen every day of my adult life. But the eyes looking back at me are different now. Focused, determined. I make a fist and punch the wall next to the mirror as hard as I can. Pain shoots up my arm, but it's the wall that gives way. Plaster cracking, a small dent forming where my knuckles connected. I pull my hand back and examine it. The skin is scraped, already swelling, but the bones beneath are intact, unbroken. I go to the kitchen and grab a knife from the drawer. It's not a decision so much as an experiment. I press the blade against my forearm, applying pressure. The knife bites into my skin, drawing blood, but when it meets bone, it stops as if hitting stone. I could push harder, force it through perhaps, but the test has confirmed what the doctors said. My bones resist damage in a way normal bones don't. I'm not impervious to pain. The cut on my arm stings, my bruised knuckles throb. The concussion still makes my head ache. But pain is temporary, it fades, and if my bones won't break, I can endure more than others. In my bedroom, I pull a shoebox from the closet. Inside are newspaper clippings I've collected over the past year. Stories about gang activity in the neighborhood, the East Side Killers specifically. I didn't save them for any particular reason beyond a vague interest in local news. Now, I spread them on the bed, studying them with new purpose. The pattern is clear. The East Side Killers control a 12-block radius centered around Parkman Street. They deal drugs from several known locations. Their protection racket is newer, started within the last 6 months. Their leadership is unclear, but they answer to someone higher up in the city's criminal hierarchy. I go to the kitchen and pull out the tools I have on hand. A hammer, a screwdriver, a utility knife. Not weapons exactly, but they'll do damage if used with enough force. I create a makeshift holster using a belt and some duct tape, securing the screwdriver and knife to my leg under my pants. The hammer I slide into my jacket pocket. This is madness, of course. I'm not a vigilante. I'm not a hero. I'm just Nate Holloway, mailroom clerk, a man who spent his entire life avoiding conflict and risk. But Mr. Patel is dead, and the men who killed him are still out there. And I'm still here, with bones that don't break and nothing left to lose. I pull on a dark hoodie, covering the stitches on my forehead. Then I leave my apartment and head toward Parkman Street, toward the territory of the East Side Killers, toward whatever comes next. Chapter 2. Breaking Point. Parkman Street at night is a different world than the one I pass through on my way to work each morning. During the day, it's just another rundown stretch of urban decay. Boarded storefronts, crumbling apartment buildings, people keeping their heads down as they hurry from one place to another. But at night, it transforms into something predatory. The streetlights cast sickly yellow pools that do more to create shadows than dispel them. Music thumps from cars with tinted windows. Small groups of men gather on corners, eyes tracking anyone who passes. Red bandanas peek from pockets or hang from belts. The East Side Killers marking their territory. I pull my hood lower, hunching my shoulders to minimize my size. For once, I'm grateful for my natural invisibility. No one looks twice at an overweight, middle-aged nobody shuffling along the sidewalk. I'm background noise in their world, which is exactly what I need to be right now. The pain medication is wearing off. My head throbs in time with my heartbeat, the stitches pulling tight against my skin. The screwdriver strapped to my leg chafes against my calf with each step. The hammer in my pocket thumps against my thigh. Every part of this plan is absurd. What am I doing here? I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to find specific gang members in a neighborhood controlled by their organization. I don't know anything except that I'm angry and my bones don't break. It's not enough. It was never going to be enough. I spot a group of young men outside a corner store, red bandanas on display. 3 of them, smoking cigarettes and passing a bottle in a paper bag between them. I hang back, watching from the shadow of a closed laundromat. Are these the same ones who killed Mr. Patel? I strain to see their faces, but they're too far away. The lighting too poor. One of them breaks away from the group, walking toward an alley beside the store. Alone, isolated, a target. Before I can second-guess myself, I follow him. My heart pounds so loudly I'm sure he must hear it. The weight of the hammer in my pocket reassures me. I can do this. I have to do this. The alley is narrow, lined with dumpsters and fire escapes. The gang member stops halfway down, unzipping his pants to urinate against the wall. His back is to me. I pull the hammer from my pocket, gripping it so tightly, my knuckles ache. 3 steps. That's all it would take to reach him. 3 steps, and then a swing of the hammer, and I'd have… what? Information? Vengeance? Both seem equally unlikely. He finishes his business and starts to turn. I freeze, hammer half raised. Our eyes meet. His widen in surprise, then narrow in suspicion. "The fuck you looking at, fat boy?" he says, zipping up his pants. He can't be more than 20, lean and wiry, with a tattoo creeping up his neck from beneath his collar. Words fail me. I didn't think this far ahead. Should I ask about Mr. Patel? Threaten him? Attack? I stand there, hammer in hand, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. His gaze drops to the hammer. "Oh, you got big ideas, huh?" He reaches behind his back and pulls out a knife, the blade catching the dim light from the street. "Let's see what you got then. Come on." He beckons me forward with his free hand, confident, unafraid. He's done this before. I haven't. The difference is obvious in our stances, in the way he holds the knife like an extension of his arm, while I clutch the hammer like a drowning man grasping a life preserver. I take a step forward anyway. Mr. Patel's face flashes in my mind, not as I saw him last, bloody and still on the pavement, but as he was every morning, eyes crinkling as he smiled and handed me my coffee. Will be nice day, I think. Another step. The gang member circles slightly, knife held low in a practiced grip. He's still not worried, just cautious. To him, I'm an amateur, a fool. He's right. "You know an old man with a coffee cart on 43rd? I ask, my voice steadier than I expected. "Indian guy. You or your friends shot him 3 days ago." Recognition flickers across his face, quickly replaced by a sneer. "I don't know what you're talking about, man, but you're in the wrong place asking those kinds of questions." "You're wearing the colors," I say, taking another step forward. "You're East Side Killers. You know who did it." He laughs, a sharp, humorless sound. "Yeah, I'm ESK, and you're a dead man walking into our territory asking about our business." He lunges forward suddenly, knife slashing toward my midsection. I react too slowly, trying to swing the hammer but missing completely. The knife cuts through my hoodie and into the flesh of my side. Pain flares, hot and immediate. I stagger back, free hand pressing against the wound. It doesn't feel deep, but it's bleeding. The gang member presses his advantage, emboldened by drawing first blood. He comes at me again, knife weaving in complex patterns. I backpedal, bumping into a dumpster. Trapped. "Not so tough now, huh?" He taunts, closing in for the kill. Desperation surges through me. I swing the hammer wildly, with none of the calculated force I had imagined. By sheer luck, it connects with his shoulder. He grunts in pain, momentarily thrown off balance. I charge forward, using my weight as a weapon. We collide, his knife slicing my arm as we grapple. I'm heavier than him, but he's stronger, more agile. He drives the knife toward my chest. I manage to grab his wrist, stopping the blade inches from my heart. We struggle, locked together, his face contorted with effort and rage. I feel my strength failing, the knife inches closer. Then I remember, my bones don't break. If I can take a bullet to the head, I can take this. I shift my weight, allowing the knife to plunge forward while turning my body. The blade skids along my ribs instead of piercing between them. Pain explodes across my side, but I keep moving, bringing the hammer up and around in an awkward arc. It connects with the side of his head with a sickening thud. He drops immediately, knife clattering to the ground as he crumples in a heap. I stand over him, breathing hard, hammer raised for another blow. Blood spreads beneath his head, dark against the dirty pavement. Is he dead? Did I just kill someone? The thought should horrify me, but all I feel is a strange detachment, as if I'm watching this happen to someone else. He groans, eyelids fluttering. Not dead, then. Relief washes over me, followed immediately by panic. What do I do now? The smart thing would be to run, to get away before his friends come looking for him, or he regains consciousness. But I came here for information. Leaving now means this was all for nothing. I kneel beside him, keeping the hammer ready. "Hey," I say, tapping his face. "Wake up. I need to ask you something." His eyes open, unfocused. Blood trickles from a gash on his temple, concussed probably. I know the feeling. "The coffee vendor," I say, my voice low and urgent. "Who shot him?" I need names. He blinks slowly, struggling to process my words through the fog of his injury. "Fuck you," he manages. I press the hammer against his throat, just firmly enough to make breathing uncomfortable. "Names," I repeat. "Who pulled the trigger?" Fear replaces the defiance in his eyes. "Darius," he whispers. "Darius Jones. He runs our crew on the east side, him and Trick." "Where do I find them?" "Club Venom, on Westmore. They're there most nights." His eyes roll back, consciousness slipping away again. "You're dead, man. They'll kill you for this." "Yeah, well, they already tried once." I stand up, wincing at the pain in my side and arm. The knife wounds are bleeding steadily, but they don't feel immediately life-threatening. Still, I need to get somewhere and assess the damage. I take the gang member's knife from the ground and pocket it. Then I turn and hurry out of the alley, leaving him unconscious but alive. I keep my head down, hoodie pulled tight despite the blood now soaking through it, and make my way back toward my apartment as quickly as I can manage. My side throbs with each step. The adrenaline is wearing off, revealing just how badly I'm hurt. By the time I reach my building, my vision is starting to blur around the edges. I fumble with my keys at the front entrance, leaving smears of blood on the handle. Jesus Christ, a voice exclaims from behind me. I turn to see Trixie, still in her work clothes, staring at me with wide eyes. What the hell happened to you? I open my mouth to respond, but the world tilts sideways. My legs buckle. The last thing I see before darkness claims me is Trixie rushing forward, arms outstretched to catch me. I wake up on my own couch, a stabbing pain in my side bringing me immediately to full consciousness. Trixie sits on my coffee table, a needle and thread in her hands, her face scrunched in concentration. "Don't move," she says without looking up, "unless you want me to stab you worse than that gangbanger already did." I glance down. My hoodie and shirt have been removed. A crude suture job runs along my side, the skin pulled together with tight, even stitches. Blood still seeps from the wound, but much slower now. "You know how to sew?" I ask, my voice raspy and weak. Trixie snorts. "Honey, you learn a lot of useful skills on the street. Stitching up knife wounds is just one of them." She ties off the thread and cuts it with a pair of scissors from my kitchen. "There. Not my prettiest work, but it'll hold. The one on your arm wasn't as deep. I just bandaged it." I notice the white gauze wrapped around my upper arm. "Thank you," I say, genuinely grateful despite the pain. "How did you get me up here?" "Dragged your heavy ass up the stairs," she says, wiping her bloodied hands on a towel. "Nearly gave myself a hernia. You owe me for that, and for ruining my favorite top." She gestures to a blood-stained blouse draped over a chair. She's wearing one of my t-shirts now, comically large on her slender frame. "I'll buy you a new one," I promise. "Damn right you will." She looks at me, her expression hardening. "Now you want to tell me what the fuck you were doing out there? Getting yourself stabbed by gang members? I heard about what happened with Mr. Patel. You have a death wish or something?" I struggle to sit up, grimacing at the pull of fresh stitches. "They killed him," I say simply. "The cops won't do anything about it. Someone has to." "And that someone is you? The mailroom guy?" She shakes her head in disbelief. "No offense, but you don't exactly scream avenging vigilante." "I survived being shot in the head," I say, touching the stitches on my forehead. "Did you know that? Point-blank range. The bullet bounced off my skull." Trixie stares at me for a long moment, trying to determine if I'm serious. "Bullshit," she finally says. I point to the bandage. "Doctor said I have some kind of genetic condition. My bones are 3 times denser than normal. Unbreakable, they called them." "So what? You think you're some kind of superhero now? Bulletproof man goes after street gangs with a hammer." Put that way, it does sound ridiculous. But I didn't imagine stopping the bullet or the knife skidding along my ribs instead of piercing between them. "Not bulletproof," I clarify. "Just harder to break. The knife still cut me. I still bleed. But my bones don't break." Trixie gets up and goes to my kitchen, returning with 2 glasses and a bottle of cheap whiskey I keep in the back of a cabinet. She pours a generous amount into each glass and hands one to me. "You're crazy," she says, downing half her whiskey in one gulp. "Completely out of your mind." "Probably," I admit, taking a small sip. The alcohol burns going down. "But it doesn't change anything. They killed Mr. Patel over pocket change. They shot me in the head and left me for dead. If I don't do something, who will? The police? The justice system? People whose actual job it is to deal with murderers?" The detective told me himself, cases like this aren't high priority. No one cares about an old immigrant getting shot in a bad neighborhood. Trixie falls silent, knowing I'm right. After a moment, she sighs. So what was your brilliant plan? Wander around gang territory until you found the guys who did it. Something like that, I admit. And then what? You got lucky tonight. You caught one guy alone and managed to get away. But what about next time? What about when there's 5 of them? Or when they're carrying guns instead of knives? I take another sip of whiskey. I got a name, Darius Jones. He runs the crew on the east side. Him and someone called Trick. They hang out at Club Venom on Westmore. Darius? Shit. Trixie pales visibly. He's bad news, Nate. Real bad news. He'd kill you as soon as look at you. You know him. She looks away. I know of him. Everybody in the life knows about Darius. He's violent, unpredictable. Started out as a pimp before moving up in the ESK. Still has girls working for him. Beats them if they don't bring in enough money. Her tone makes me wonder if she's speaking from personal experience, but I don't ask. Everyone has parts of their past they don't want to discuss. Lord knows I have mine. I have to find him, I say, finishing my whiskey. He's the one who pulled the trigger on Mr. Patel, on me. And what then? You'll beat him with a hammer? Kill him? Become a murderer yourself? I haven't thought that far ahead. The drive for vengeance has consumed me so completely that the endgame remains murky. What do I want? Justice? Revenge? Are they the same thing in this case? I don't know, I admit. But I have to do something. Trixie refills both our glasses, shaking her head. You're going to get yourself killed, unbreakable bones or not. Maybe, but at least I'll be doing something instead of nothing. For once in my life. We sit in silence for a while, sipping whiskey, the gravity of my decision hanging between us. My side throbs with each heartbeat, a reminder of how easily this could have gone worse. Next time, I need to be smarter, more prepared. If you're really set on this suicide mission, Trixie finally says, you should know a few things about the ESK. They control everything from 38th to 50th Street east of the river. Drugs, prostitution, protection rackets. They've got their fingers in all of it. Darius runs the street operations, but he answers to someone higher up. Nobody knows who exactly. Some say it's someone with connections to City Hall. Others think it's one of the old crime families. I listen intently, mentally mapping the territory she describes. How many members? In this neighborhood? Maybe 30, 40 active members. Not all of them are violent, some just deal product. But the ones who run with Darius? They'll kill without blinking. And Club Venom? It's their main hangout. Officially, it's a nightclub, but the real business happens in the back rooms. Drugs, girls, gambling. She glances at me. You can't just walk in there. They'll spot you right away. I don't need to get inside. I just need to find Darius when he's vulnerable. Alone. Trixie laughs bitterly. Guys like Darius are never alone. They always have muscle around them. She studies me for a moment, then sighs. Look, if you're really going to do this, you need to rest first. Let those stitches heal a bit. Going after them in your condition is just asking to get killed. She's right, of course. I've lost blood, and my injuries need time to heal. But the urgency of my mission burns inside me. Every day that passes means the trail gets colder, the memory of Mr. Patel's murder fading from the minds of those responsible. I'll give it a few days, I concede. But not too long. Trixie stands, swaying slightly from the whiskey. I should go. It's late and I have work. She heads toward the door, then pauses, turning back to me. Be careful, Nate. Whatever you think your bones can handle, your heart and brain still work the same as everyone else's. One good hit to either, and you're done. After she leaves, I lie back on the couch, the pain in my side making it impossible to get comfortable. The events of the night replay in my mind. The alley, the knife, the hammer connecting with the gang member's head. I've never been in a real fight before tonight. I've never hurt anyone intentionally. The fact that I'm capable of it should disturb me more than it does. But all I feel is resolve, hardening like cement inside me. This is just the beginning. I found one gang member and got a name. Next, I'll find Darius Jones and get justice for Mr. Patel. And if my unbreakable bones are the only advantage I have, then so be it. I'll use what God or genetics or random mutation has given me. Sleep claims me eventually, pulling me into darkness filled with dreams of blood on pavement and hammers striking flesh and bone. I call in sick to work the next day, and the day after that. The wounds in my side and arm make normal movement difficult, and I can't risk reopening them. I spend the time recuperating in my apartment, taking painkillers and changing the bandages Trixie applied. On the third day, there's a knock at my door. I open it to find Detective Briscoe standing in the hallway, notepad in hand. Mr. Holloway, he says, eyeing the bandage visible beneath my t-shirt sleeve. Mind if I come in? I have a few follow-up questions about the shooting. I step aside to let him enter, mentally preparing my story. I can't tell him about my encounter with the gang member or what I'm planning to do next. Briscoe walks around my small living room, taking in the sparse furnishings and generic decor. Nice place, he says without conviction. How's the head? Better, I reply, touching the stitches on my forehead. Still hurts sometimes. I bet. He sits on my couch without being invited. So, we've been looking into the gang activity around the neighborhood where Mr. Patel was killed. East Side Killers territory. Something interesting came up. My heart rate quickens. What's that? One of their members was found unconscious in an alley 2 nights ago. Severe head trauma. Someone really did a number on him. Briscoe watches my face carefully. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Mr. Holloway? I keep my expression neutral. Number, why would I? Just asking. It's an interesting coincidence, that's all. This gang member, Kevin Lewis is his name. He's a known associate of the crew we suspect was involved in Mr. Patel's murder. Briscoe taps his notepad against his knee. He says he can't remember who attacked him. Convenient amnesia or genuine memory loss from the head injury. Hard to say. That is interesting, I say, careful to maintain eye contact without appearing nervous. Any leads on who might have done it? Not yet. But whoever it was took a beating themselves. Blood at the scene didn't all belong to Lewis. We're running DNA tests. He looks pointedly at my arm. Got hurt recently, Mr. Holloway? I follow his gaze to the bandage. Accident at home. Was trying to fix a shelf, slipped with the drill. Uh-huh. Briscoe clearly doesn't believe me. Look, Mr. Holloway, I understand the desire for justice, I really do. Mr. Patel seemed like a good man, and what happened to him was terrible. But vigilante justice isn't the answer. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. He stands up, straightening his jacket. Let me be clear. If you're thinking about pursuing this on your own, don't. Your condition might make you harder to kill, but it doesn't make you invincible. These gangbangers carry guns, not just knives. A bullet to the heart will kill you just as dead as anyone else, dense bones or not. I say nothing, meeting his gaze steadily. Briscoe sighs. I'm trying to help you here, Mr. Holloway. Let the police handle this. We're making progress on the case. Slowly, but we're working on it. Are you? I can't keep the skepticism from my voice. Yes, we are. Contrary to what you might think, we do care about murders in this neighborhood. But we have procedures, rules we have to follow, evidence we need to collect. We can't just go around beating confessions out of suspects. And if those procedures mean the killers never face justice, Briscoe's expression hardens. That's not for you to decide. He moves toward the door, then turns back. One more thing, a piece of friendly advice. Stay away from Club Venom on Westmore. It's not a place for civilians. He knows. Somehow he knows exactly what I'm planning. Whether Kevin Lewis talked or Briscoe has other sources of information, he's on to me. I'll keep that in mind, I say, opening the door for him. See that you do. He steps into the hallway, then pauses. And get that arm looked at. Drill injuries can be nasty if they get infected. After he leaves, I sit on the couch, weighing my options. Briscoe is right about one thing. Vigilante justice isn't the answer. It's dangerous, illegal, and likely to end with me dead or in prison. The smart move would be to back off, let the police handle it, return to my normal life. But my normal life feels distant now, unreachable. I can't go back to being invisible Nate, the mailroom guy who floats through existence without making waves. Not after what happened. Not after discovering what I'm capable of, both in terms of my unbreakable condition and my capacity for violence. Besides, despite Briscoe's assurances, I don't truly believe the police will solve Mr. Patel's murder. They have too many cases, too few resources, and too little incentive to prioritize the death of an elderly immigrant in a high-crime neighborhood. If justice is to be served, it will be because I make it happen. I check the wounds on my side and arm. They're healing well, the stitches holding firm. Another day or two, and I should be mobile enough to resume my search for Darius Jones. In the meantime, I need to prepare. The hammer was effective but crude. I need better weapons, better protection, and I need to learn more about Club Venom and Darius's routine. I spend the rest of the day researching online. Club Venom has a website with photos showing a typical nightclub interior, dance floor, bar, VIP areas. The clientele appears young and trendy, not the rough crowd I'd expect for a gang hangout. But that's just the public face. What happens in the back rooms, as Trixie mentioned, is surely a different story. Social media searches turn up several posts mentioning Darius Jones, most related to the club scene or local drug trade. There are no clear photos, but descriptions paint a picture. Tall, muscular, distinctive scar across his right cheek. Always surrounded by an entourage. Always armed. This reinforces what Trixie told me. I won't get to him easily. I need a plan. A way to isolate him from his protection. Or I need to become so much of a nuisance that he comes looking for me. The latter seems more likely to succeed, if more dangerous. If I continue targeting his street-level operators, disrupting their business, eventually Darius will have to respond personally. It's a risky strategy, but it plays to my only advantage, my ability to take punishment that would incapacitate anyone else. As evening falls, there's another knock at my door. I tense, expecting Briscoe again, but it's Trixie who stands in the hallway, a small bag in her hands. "Brought you some stuff," she says, pushing past me into the apartment. "Figured you might need it." She empties the bag onto my coffee table. Inside are rolls of gauze, antiseptic ointment, painkillers, and a small switchblade. "The knife's for emergencies only," she says, demonstrating how to open it with a flick of her wrist. But I figured a hammer isn't always practical. "Thank you," I say, genuinely touched by her thoughtfulness. "You didn't have to do this." "Yeah, well." She shrugs, uncomfortable with gratitude. "Can't have you bleeding out on my doorstep again. Bad for business." I smile, knowing there's more to her concern than she's willing to admit. "How much do I owe you for all this?" "Consider it an investment in staying alive." She sits on the couch, her work clothes, a short skirt and low-cut top, at odds with the serious expression on her face. "I heard something on the street today, about the guy you roughed up in the alley." "What about him?" "He's been asking around, trying to find out who attacked him, saying he's going to make them pay. I don't think he remembers your face clearly, concussion and all, but he's described a big guy who asked about the coffee vendor murder. This isn't unexpected, but it does add urgency to my timeline." "Did he mention Darius?" "No, and that's good. If Darius knew someone was specifically targeting him, he'd come down hard. Right now, they just think it's some random vigilante upset about the old man's death." She pauses. "There's something else. A news story broke this morning about a shooting at another coffee cart on the north side. Same MO. Vendor refused to pay protection money, got shot. Different gang, but same idea." "It's spreading," I say, the implications clear. What happened to Mr. Patel wasn't an isolated incident. It's a new revenue stream for the gangs, shaking down small business owners in their territories. "Yeah, and it'll keep spreading if nobody stops it." Trixie looks at me, her expression a mix of concern and resignation. "You're really going through with this, aren't you?" "I have to." She nods slowly. "Then you should know Club Venom has a back entrance. Service door on the east side of the building. Deliveries come through there during the day. At night, it's where they bring in the girls and move product in and out. Less security than the front, but still guarded." "How do you know all this?" She gives me a look that says I should know better than to ask. "I've worked all over this neighborhood, Nate. You learn things when clients think you're just a piece of meat with no brain." She stands, adjusting her skirt. "I should get back to my corner. Just be smarter than last time, okay? Unbreakable bones won't help you if they shoot you in the face." After she leaves, I examine the supplies she brought, particularly the switchblade. It's small but sharp, easy to conceal. Combined with the hammer, it gives me options I didn't have before. I spend the next day continuing my recovery and planning my next move. The smart approach would be to observe Club Venom for several nights, learning patterns and routines before making any attempt to find Darius. But patience has never been my strong suit, and the urgency of my mission grows with each passing day. That evening, I dress in dark clothes, concealing the hammer and switchblade in my pockets. The wounds in my side and arm are still tender, but manageable. I take 2 painkillers before leaving my apartment, just enough to dull the edge without clouding my judgment. The night air is cool against my face as I make my way toward Westmore Street. Club Venom sits at the corner of Westmore and 45th, a converted warehouse with a flashy neon sign and a line of people waiting to enter. Music pulses from within, so loud I can feel it in my chest from half a block away. I keep my distance, observing from across the street. Bouncers check IDs at the main entrance. Well-dressed patrons, mostly young, laugh and chat as they wait their turn. It looks like any other trendy nightclub, not a gang headquarters. But then I notice the subtle signs. Men with red bandanas visible in their clothing or accessories, bypassing the line entirely. The bouncers nodding them through without question. The occasional exchange of money or small packages, quick and discreet. I circle the block, looking for the service entrance Trixie mentioned. I find it on the east side, just as she described. A metal door with no exterior handle, a security camera mounted above it. 2 men stand guard, both wearing red bandanas and both visibly armed. One smokes a cigarette, the ember glowing in the darkness. The other checks his phone, boredom evident in his posture. This isn't going to work. I can't just walk up and ask for Darius. I need another approach. I continue circling, looking for other points of entry or vulnerability. The roof might be accessible via the fire escape, but climbing with my injuries would be difficult, and I have no idea what I'd find up there. As I complete my circuit, returning to my original observation point across from the main entrance, a black SUV with tinted windows pulls up to the curb. The bouncers immediately clear a path. The passenger door opens, and a man steps out. Even from across the street, I can tell this is someone important. He's tall, powerfully built, dressed in an expensive-looking suit. The scar across his right cheek is visible even at this distance, a pale line against his dark skin. Darius Jones. He's surrounded immediately by 4 men, all wearing red bandanas, all radiating the alertness of trained bodyguards. They escort him toward the entrance, the crowd parting before them like the Red Sea. My heart pounds in my chest. That's him. The man who killed Mr. Patel. The man who shot me in the head and left me for dead. He's right there, less than 100 feet away, and completely unreachable. With that level of security, I'd never get close enough to confront him, let alone exact any kind of justice. The reality of my situation hits me like a physical blow. What am I doing here? What did I think would happen? That I'd waltz in and demand Darius face punishment for his crimes. I'm so absorbed in my thoughts that I don't notice the 2 men approaching from behind until it's too late. A hand clamps down on my shoulder, spinning me around. "Hey, you," one of them says, his face hard and suspicious. "You've been circling the block for 20 minutes. What's your business here?" They're gang members, red bandanas visible. One holds his hand near his waistband, where the outline of a gun is visible beneath his shirt. "Just looking for a friend," I say, trying to keep my voice steady. "Thought they might be at the club." "Bullshit," the second one says. "You ain't dressed for clubbing. You've been scoping the place out." He narrows his eyes. "Wait a minute. Big guy, asking questions about the coffee vendor hit. Kevin told us about you." My blood runs cold. They know who I am. Or at least they suspect. "I don't know what you're talking about," I say, taking a step backward. "I'm just passing through." "Yeah, we'll see about that." The first one pulls a gun from his waistband, keeping it low against his leg to avoid drawing attention from passers-by. "Let's take a walk, big man. Boss wants to talk to anyone asking about that coffee shop business." This is bad. Very bad. If they take me inside, I'm as good as dead. But making a scene here, on a crowded street with civilians around, risks innocent lives. I need to find a way out of this situation that doesn't end with me or bystanders getting shot. "All right," I say, raising my hand slightly. No need for that. I'll come quietly. They flank me, one on each side, the gun pressed against my ribs. We start walking, not toward the club's main entrance, but around the corner, toward the service door I observed earlier. My mind races, searching for options. Once we reach that door, once they take me inside, my chances of survival plummet. I need to act now, while we're still on the street. I stumble deliberately, falling against the man with the gun. He curses, shoving me upright, but in that moment of confusion, I've managed to knock his aim off and pull the hammer from my pocket. "What the?" he begins, but I don't let him finish. I swing the hammer with all my strength, aiming for his wrist. The crack of bone is audible even over the street noise. He screams, the gun clattering to the pavement. The second man reacts quickly, pulling his own weapon. I lunge forward, using my weight to drive him against the wall of a nearby building. His gun goes off, the shot deafening in the confined space. Pain explodes in my shoulder, but I keep moving, keep pushing. I bring the hammer down again and again, no longer aiming, just striking whatever I can reach. He collapses, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. I turn back to the first man, who's cradling his broken wrist and scrambling for the dropped gun with his good hand. I kick it away, then grab him by the collar, hauling him into the shadows between two buildings. "Darius Jones," I growl, pressing the hammer against his temple. "Tell me about him." "Fuck you," he spits, but his eyes betray his fear. I press harder until he winces. He killed an old man for pocket change, shot me in the head and left me for dead. I want him. "You're crazy," he says, his voice shaking. "You can't touch Darius. He's protected." "Protected by who?" "Everyone, cops, politicians. You go after him, you're dead." I laugh, a harsh sound with no humor in it. "I'm already dead, according to him. Now tell me something useful, or I'll break more than your wrist." He glances toward the street, where his friend lies motionless. People who cross Darius disappear. Not just them, their families, friends, anyone they care about. He doesn't just kill you. He erases you. "Where does he live?" The gang member hesitates, weighing his options. I can see the calculation in his eyes. Tell me and risk Darius's wrath, or refuse and face immediate pain. "Parkview Towers," he finally says. "Penthouse. But you'll never get to him there. Security's tight." "When is he vulnerable? When does he travel alone?" "Never. Always has at least 2 guys with him. More at the club or the penthouse." This confirms what I've already observed. Darius won't be an easy target, but everyone has weaknesses, routines, moments of exposure. "What else?" I demand. "Give me something I can use." He swallows hard. There's a girl at the club, Aisha. She's his favorite. He visits her apartment sometimes, in the Heights. 1242 Westover, apartment 3B. Only takes one guy with him when he goes there. This is what I need. A location where Darius is less protected. A potential way to get to him. "If you're lying to me," I say, leaning in close, "I'll find you again. And next time, I won't stop with a broken wrist." "I'm not lying," he insists. "But it won't matter. You're dead anyway, going after Darius." I step back, keeping the hammer raised. "Get your friend and go. Tell Darius nothing about this if you want to live." He cradles his broken wrist, eyeing me warily. "Who the fuck are you, man?" "Nobody," I reply. "Just like the old man your boss killed." I back away, keeping an eye on both gang members as I retreat. The one I knocked down is stirring now, groaning as he regains consciousness. I need to get out of here before they recover enough to call for backup. My shoulder throbs where the bullet grazed me, another wound to add to my collection. Blood seeps through my shirt, but the injury doesn't feel severe. I got lucky. Again. I hurry away from Club Venom, sticking to side streets and alleyways to avoid being seen. My heart pounds in my chest, adrenaline still coursing through my system. I just assaulted 2 armed gang members and lived to tell about it. Unbreakable bones or not, it's a miracle I'm still walking. The address the gang member gave me, 1242 Westover, burns in my mind. If he was telling the truth, it's a way to get to Darius with minimal protection around him. A vulnerability I can exploit. But not tonight. I'm injured, bleeding, and have already pushed my luck too far. I need to retreat, recover, and plan my next move carefully. By the time I reach my apartment building, I'm lightheaded from blood loss and pain. The bullet graze on my shoulder has soaked through my shirt, and my previously healing wounds ache from the exertion. I slip inside, grateful that no one is in the lobby to witness my battered state. I make it to my apartment and lock the door behind me, then immediately head to the bathroom to assess the damage. The bullet grazed the outside of my left shoulder, leaving a deep furrow in the flesh but missing bone and major blood vessels. It's painful but not life-threatening. I clean the wound as best I can with the supplies Trixie brought, then bandage it tightly. The painkillers I took earlier are wearing off, leaving me acutely aware of every injury. I swallow 2 more, washing them down with a mouthful of whiskey straight from the bottle. As the alcohol burns its way down my throat, the reality of what I've done, what I'm planning to do, hits me fully. I've assaulted gang members. I've threatened and intimidated. I've committed felonies that could send me to prison for years, all in pursuit of a vengeance that may not even be achievable. But I can't stop now. The image of Mr. Patel lying on the pavement, blood pooling beneath him, won't let me rest. The knowledge that Darius Jones is out there, free to kill again, to ruin more lives, drives me forward despite the pain and danger. I collapse onto my bed, exhaustion claiming me even as my mind races with plans and possibilities. Sleep comes in fitful bursts, punctuated by dreams of gunshots and hammers and blood on pavement. A pounding on my door jolts me awake. Sunlight streams through my window. I've slept later than intended. The pounding continues, insistent and loud. I drag myself up, wincing at the pain in my shoulder. Who could be at my door? The police? Gang members who somehow tracked me down? Trixie checking on me? Nate! Open up! It's Trixie's voice, urgent and frightened. I hurry to the door, unlocking it and pulling it open. Trixie stands in the hallway, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. What's wrong? I ask, immediately on alert. She pushes past me into the apartment, closing the door quickly behind her. They're looking for you, she says, her voice shaking. All over the neighborhood, ESK members showing your description to everyone, saying you attacked 2 of their guys last night. My blood runs cold. How did they find out it was me? Security cameras, probably. Or someone on the street recognized you. She paces the small living room, agitated. This is bad, Nate. Really bad. They're offering money for information on where to find you. Did anyone see you coming here? No, I was careful. But it's only a matter of time before someone connects the dots. You need to leave. Get out of the neighborhood until this blows over. It's not going to blow over, I say, sitting heavily on the couch. They'll keep looking until they find me. Then go to the police. Tell them everything. They can protect you. I shake my head. The police won't do anything. Besides, I've committed multiple assaults now. I'd end up in jail while Darius remains free. Trixie stops pacing, looking at me with a mixture of frustration and concern. So what's your plan? Keep going after him until he kills you? Because that's where this is heading, Nate. She's right, of course. My current approach is unsustainable. Attacking street-level gang members might vent my rage, but it won't bring me closer to justice for Mr. Patel. It just puts a target on my back, making it harder to reach Darius. I need to be smarter about this, I admit. Less visible. You need to stop, Trixie counters. But since I know you won't, at least let me help you not get killed. This surprises me. Help me how? Information. I hear things on the street. I can tell you when it's safe to move, where the ESK members are looking for you. She hesitates, then adds, and I can confirm if that address you got is legit. I stare at her, shocked that she knows about the address. How did you? Word travels fast. Tommy Hayes is telling everyone who'll listen that some big guy broke his wrist and threatened to kill him if he didn't give up Darius's girl's address. She crosses her arms. Is that what happened? More or less, I admit. Is it true about the apartment? 1242 Westover? Trixie nods slowly. Aisha's place. And yes, Darius visits her regularly, usually late at night after the club closes. She fixes me with a hard stare. But if you're thinking of going there, you need to understand something. Aisha isn't just some girlfriend. She's owned. Darius got her hooked on heroin, then made her work for him to pay off her debt. She can't leave, can't get help. If you go there and something happens to her because of it, that's on you. The thought sobers me. In my focus on Darius, I hadn't considered the collateral damage my actions might cause. I don't want anyone innocent getting hurt. Then be careful how you do this. Trixie sits beside me on the couch. And let me help you. I can find out when Darius plans to visit her next. You can be waiting for him. Why would you risk yourself like that for me? She looks away, uncomfortable with the question. Mr. Patel was good to me too, okay? Always gave me coffee on cold mornings, never judged me for what I do. And Darius, his crew has hurt girls I know, made them disappear. Her voice hardens. So maybe I want him gone as much as you do. I nod, understanding. Everyone in this neighborhood has reasons to fear and hate the East Side killers. I'm not the only one seeking justice. I'm just the only one reckless enough to pursue it directly. Okay, I say. We'll work together. But I don't want you taking unnecessary risks. If they find out you're helping me, I can take care of myself, she interrupts. Been doing it for years. We spend the next hour outlining a plan. Trixie will use her street connections to learn when Darius plans to visit Aisha next. I'll be waiting for him, away from the apartment to avoid endangering the girl. It's still dangerous, still likely to end badly for me, but it's more targeted than my previous attempts. You should stay here today, Trixie says as she prepares to leave. The ESK is all over the streets looking for you. I'll come back tonight with whatever I can find out. After she's gone, I tend to my wounds again, changing bandages and swallowing more painkillers. The bullet graze on my shoulder looks angry and red, but shows no signs of infection yet. The knife wounds from my previous encounter are healing well, the stitches Trixie applied holding firm. I spend the day resting and preparing. I clean the hammer, removing any traces of blood. I practice with the switchblade Trixie gave me, getting comfortable with its weight and balance. I eat a proper meal for the first time in days, knowing I'll need my strength. As evening falls, I find myself standing at the window, watching the street below. Somewhere out there, Darius Jones is going about his business, perhaps planning his next robbery or murder. Does he even remember shooting Mr. Patel and me? Or was it just another day's work for him, forgotten as soon as it was done? The thought fuels my resolve. Even if I fail, even if this ends with my death, I have to try. I have to show that people like Mr. Patel matter, that their lives can't be taken without consequence. Trixie returns just after midnight, slipping into my apartment like a shadow. Her expression tells me she has news before she speaks. "Tomorrow night," she says without preamble. Darius always visits Aisha on Wednesdays after the club closes, around 3 in the morning. "You're sure?" She nods. One of the girls who works at Venom confirmed it. It's his regular schedule. And security? Just one guy. Usually waits in the car while Darius goes up, stays for about an hour, then leaves. It's almost too perfect. Darius, minimally protected, at a predictable time and location. If I can isolate him from his bodyguard, I'll have my chance at justice. "There's something else," Trixie says, her expression grave. "Another coffee vendor was killed this morning, over on 52nd Street. Same MO, refused to pay protection, got shot." The news hits me like a physical blow. Another innocent person dead, another family destroyed, while I've been hiding in my apartment licking my wounds. "That's not in ESK territory," I say, trying to process the information. "No, it's Locos 13 turf. Different gang, same tactic." Trixie's eyes lock with mine. "It's spreading, Nate. Just like I said it would. These street gangs see that it works, so they're all doing it now." The implications are clear. What happened to Mr. Patel wasn't just a random act of violence. It was the start of a pattern. A new revenue stream for gangs across the city, built on the blood of hard-working immigrants and small business owners. "All the more reason to stop Darius," I say, my resolve hardening. "Make an example of him. Show them there are consequences." Trixie doesn't argue, which surprises me. Perhaps she's finally accepted that I won't be dissuaded from this path. "Just be careful," she says instead. "Darius didn't get where he is by being stupid or weak. He's dangerous, Nate. More dangerous than you can imagine." "So am I," I reply, though I'm not sure I believe it myself. He just doesn't know it yet. We spend the next hour refining the plan. Trixie draws a rough map of the area around Aisha's apartment, marking entry points and potential escape routes. The building has a back entrance that's often propped open for smokers. I can use that to position myself inside without being seen. "What will you do when you confront him?" Trixie asks as our planning winds down. It's the question I've been avoiding, even in my own thoughts. What exactly is my endgame here? Beat Darius into submission, kill him, force a confession. None of these options feels entirely right. Yet I can't walk away without some form of justice. "I don't know," I admit. "Make him pay somehow." Trixie studies me, her expression unreadable. "Just remember, whatever you do, there's no going back afterward. You cross that line, you're changed forever." She leaves soon after, promising to meet me tomorrow evening to go over any last-minute details before I head to Westover Street. As I lock the door behind her, I'm struck by how surreal my life has become in just a few days. From invisible mailroom clerk to vengeful vigilante, all because a bullet bounced off my skull instead of piercing it. I should be terrified. I should be calling the police or packing my belongings and fleeing the city. Instead, I feel a strange calm, a purpose that's been missing from my existence for as long as I can remember. For the first time in my life, I'm doing something that matters, even if it costs me everything. I sleep soundly that night, without dreams or interruptions. When I wake, I know that today might be my last day alive. The thought should frighten me, but instead it brings clarity. I call work and resign, citing health issues. I pay my outstanding bills. I even clean my apartment, not wanting to leave a mess for whoever has to deal with my belongings if I don't return. These aren't the actions of someone planning to survive. They're the actions of someone making peace with death. And perhaps that's what gives me the courage to continue. The acceptance that my life isn't worth more than Mr. Patel's, that justice matters more than my survival. As evening approaches, I prepare myself physically and mentally for what's to come. I bandage my wounds tightly to prevent reopening. I dress in dark, nondescript clothing that won't attract attention. I position the hammer and switchblade for easy access. Trixie arrives at 9. Her work clothes replaced by jeans and a hoodie, an attempt at anonymity in case she's seen with me. The ESK is still looking for you, she informs me. But they've expanded the search area. They think you might have fled the neighborhood. Good. That works in our favor. We go over the plan one last time. I'll arrive at Westover Street around 2 in the morning, positioning myself inside the building near the back entrance. When Darius arrives around 3, I'll wait until he's inside, then confront him in the hallway, away from his bodyguard and Aisha's apartment. What if something goes wrong? Trixie asks. What if he brings more security than usual? Then I adapt, I say simply. Or I die trying. She shakes her head, frustrated by my fatalism. That's not a plan, Nate. That's suicide. Maybe, but it's all I've got. As midnight approaches, I prepare to leave. Trixie stops me at the door, her hand on my arm. Why are you really doing this? She asks. Is it just for Mr. Patel? Or is it something else? I consider the question, searching for the honest answer. It's for Mr. Patel, I begin. But it's also for me. All my life I've been nobody, invisible. I've never stood up for anything, never fought for anything. Maybe this is my chance to matter, even if no one ever knows what I did. Trixie's expression softens. You already matter, Nate. You matter to me. Before I can respond, she leans forward and kisses me. Not the practiced kiss of a professional, but something genuine and unexpected. When she pulls back, there are tears in her eyes. Come back alive, she whispers. Promise me. I can't make that promise, and we both know it. But I nod anyway, touched by her concern in a way I never expected. I leave my apartment and make my way cautiously toward Westover Street, staying in shadows, avoiding main roads where gang members might be watching. The night is cool and clear, the streets surprisingly quiet for a metropolis that never truly sleeps. By 2:30, I'm in position inside the building at 1242 Westover, having slipped in through the back entrance just as Trixie predicted. I find a shadowy alcove near the stairs, out of sight, but with a clear view of both the front entrance and the hallway leading to apartment 3B. And there I wait, hammer in hand, for the man who killed Mr. Patel, for the man who shot me in the head and left me for dead, for the man who must face justice one way or another. The minutes tick by slowly. 2:45, 2:50, 3 o'clock. My muscles tense with each sound. A door closing somewhere in the building, footsteps passing on the floor above, a car engine outside. At 3:15, headlights sweep across the front of the building. A black SUV, the same one I saw at Club Venom, pulls up to the curb. My heart rate quickens. This is it. Two men exit the vehicle. The first is unmistakably Darius Jones, tall, muscular, with the distinctive scar across his cheek. He's dressed casually but expensively, his movements confident and unhurried. The second man is clearly security, alert eyes constantly scanning, hand never far from where his weapon must be concealed. They approach the front entrance. Darius punches a code into the keypad, and the door unlocks with an audible buzz. They enter the lobby, their footsteps echoing on the linoleum floor. I press deeper into my hiding spot as they pass, holding my breath. They don't notice me, focused on their destination. I hear the security guard say something about waiting in the lobby, and Darius laughing in response. A cold, hard sound with no real humor in it. This is the moment. Darius heading to apartment 3B alone, his security staying behind in the lobby. It's exactly as Trixie described, exactly what I planned for. I wait until Darius is halfway down the hall, then step out of the shadows. The guard is facing away from me, watching the street through the lobby windows. I move silently, closing the distance to Darius with quick, cautious steps. He senses me just before I reach him, turning with the instinctual awareness of someone who spent a lifetime watching his back. His eyes widen slightly, not in fear, but in surprise. "You," he says, recognition dawning on his face. "The guy from the coffee stand. You should be dead." "So should a lot of people you've killed," I reply, hammer raised and ready. "But here I am." He smiles, a predator's grin that never reaches his eyes. "Here you are indeed. Isn't that interesting?" I expected anger, perhaps fear. Not this calm assessment, this almost bemused response to finding himself confronted by a man he thought he'd killed. "You murdered a good man," I say, taking a step closer. "Mr. Patel. Remember him? The coffee vendor." Darius shrugs, as if we're discussing something trivial like the weather. Business, nothing personal. He wouldn't pay for protection, had to make an example. His casualness about taking a life infuriates me. I grip the hammer tighter, knuckles white with tension. It was personal to him, to his family, to me. "And what are you going to do about it?" Darius asks, his tone mocking. "Beat me with a hammer? Kill me in this hallway? You really think you'd get away with that?" Before I can respond, he calls out, "Marcus!" We got a problem here. The security guard appears at the end of the hallway, gun already drawn and aimed at me. "Boss?" "Our friend here seems to have survived our little encounter at the coffee stand," Darius explains, never taking his eyes off me. "Apparently he wants revenge." I realize I've miscalculated badly. Darius isn't intimidated by me, even with a hammer in my hand. He controls this situation just as he controls everything in his territory. "Put the hammer down," Marcus orders, moving closer, gun steady. Now. I have seconds to decide, Drop the weapon and likely die, or fight and definitely die. Neither option ends with justice for Mr. Patel. Then a third option presents itself as the door to apartment 3B opens. A young woman, Aisha presumably, looks out, drawn by the commotion. Her eyes are wide, fearful. "Darius? What's happening?" she asks, her voice small and uncertain. Darius glances at her, momentarily distracted. "Go back inside, baby. I'll handle this." It's the opening I need. I lunge forward, not at Darius but at Marcus, using my bulk to drive him back against the wall. The gun goes off, the shot deafening in the enclosed space. Pain explodes in my side, but I keep moving, keep pushing. I bring the hammer down on Marcus's arm, feeling bone crack beneath the blow. He screams, the gun falling from his grasp. I kick it away, then turn to face Darius, expecting him to have fled. Instead, he stands his ground, now holding a knife, a much more serious weapon than the switchblade in my pocket. "You're full of surprises," he says, blade glinting under the harsh hallway lights. "Let's see what else you can do." He moves with the practiced grace of someone who's been in many knife fights and won them all. I swing the hammer, but he dances back, then darts forward, slashing at my arm. I feel the sting as the blade cuts through my sleeve and into flesh, but it's superficial. He's testing me, playing with me. "You killed Mr. Patel for pocket change," I say, circling to keep him in front of me. "An old man who never hurt anyone." "I've killed a lot of people," Darius replies, his tone conversational despite the deadly dance we're engaged in. "What makes this one so special?" "He was a good man. He mattered." Darius laughs, a sound devoid of humanity. "Nobody matters in this neighborhood. That's why we own it. Nobody cares what happens here." "I care," I say, and lunge forward, bringing the hammer down in a powerful arc. Darius sidesteps, but not quite fast enough. The hammer grazes his shoulder, not breaking bone but clearly causing pain. His expression shifts from amusement to anger in an instant. "Enough games!" he snarls, and attacks with renewed intensity. The knife flashes in the fluorescent light, finding flesh again and again. I feel each cut, each stab, but keep fighting, keep swinging the hammer. Blood, his and mine, makes the floor slippery beneath our feet. I'm losing, and I know it. Darius is faster, more skilled, and hasn't been injured prior to this fight. I'm already wounded, already weakened from previous encounters. The bullet in my side burns like fire with each movement. But I have one advantage he doesn't know about. My bones don't break. I can take punishment that would incapacitate others. He drives the knife deep into my shoulder, the same one grazed by the bullet the night before. I grunt in pain, but don't fall. Instead, I grab his wrist, holding him in place while I bring the hammer around in a vicious arc. It connects with his kneecap with a sickening crunch. Darius howls in pain, his leg buckling beneath him. He falls to the floor, knife still embedded in my shoulder. I stand over him, hammer raised for another blow. He looks up at me, shock and pain mingling on his face. "What the fuck are you?" he gasps, clutching his shattered knee. "Nobody," I reply, echoing what he said about the people in this neighborhood. "Just like the old man you killed." I bring the hammer down again, this time on his other knee. Another crack, another scream. Darius won't be running anywhere, not with both kneecaps shattered. A commotion behind me reminds me of Marcus, the security guard. I turn to see him struggling to his feet, reaching for a second gun in an ankle holster. I'm too far away to stop him. The gun comes up. I brace for the impact, wondering if my unbreakable bones will save me this time. A shot rings out. Marcus jerks backward, a red stain blossoming on his chest. He collapses against the wall, sliding down to the floor, eyes still open but seeing nothing. I spin around to find the source of the shot. Detective Briscoe stands at the end of the hallway, gun still raised, expression grim. "Drop the hammer, Holloway," he says, voice steady and authoritative. It's over. I look down at Darius, writhing in pain on the floor. At Marcus, dead or dying against the wall. At Aisha, watching from her doorway with horror in her eyes. And at my own blood-soaked clothes, evidence of wounds that should have killed me but somehow haven't. It is over. Whatever justice I sought for Mr. Patel, this isn't it. This is just more violence, more pain, more death. I drop the hammer. It clatters to the floor, loud in the sudden silence. "Good choice," Briscoe says, approaching cautiously, gun still trained on me. "Now step away from him." I comply, moving back until I hit the opposite wall. My legs give out, and I slide down to sitting, suddenly aware of how much blood I've lost, how many wounds I've accumulated. The adrenaline is fading, leaving only pain and exhaustion in its wake. Briscoe checks Marcus first, confirming what I already suspected. He's dead. Then he kneels beside Darius, examining his injuries. "You really did a number on him," he comments, not sounding particularly disturbed by the fact. "Both kneecaps shattered. He won't be running his operation from prison." "Prison?" I echo, surprised. "You're arresting him?" Briscoe nods. "For the murder of Sanjay Patel, among other charges. We've been building a case against the East Side killers for months. Just needed solid evidence linking Darius directly to a murder." He glances at me. "You're a witness, and now, so is he." He gestures toward Marcus. His bodyguard there was ready to flip on him. Had a meeting scheduled with me tomorrow. I struggle to process this information. "You knew. All this time you knew Darius killed Mr. Patel." "Suspected, couldn't prove. Gang cases are tough. Witnesses disappear, evidence gets contaminated, charges get reduced in plea deals." Briscoe pulls out his phone, calling for backup and ambulances. After he's done, he turns back to me. "Didn't expect you to find him before we did, though. Or to do this much damage." "Are you arresting me too?" I ask, knowing the answer must be yes. I've committed multiple assaults, been involved in a death, even if I didn't pull the trigger. Briscoe studies me for a long moment. "That depends. Official story could be that Marcus shot you. You defended yourself with the hammer. Darius got caught in the crossfire. I shot Marcus to save your life." "That's not what happened," I point out. "No, but it's neater, less paperwork, and it means you can testify against Darius without incriminating yourself." He shrugs. "Your choice." Before I can respond, sirens become audible in the distance, growing louder by the second. Briscoe stands, holstering his weapon. "Think about it," he says. "We both want the same thing, Darius off the streets for good. Your testimony helps make that happen." As police and paramedics flood the hallway, I find myself wondering if this is justice after all. Not the violent retribution I sought, but something more lasting. Darius facing trial, being sentenced, spending years behind bars for his crimes. It's not the ending I expected when I set out on this path, but perhaps it's the ending Mr. Patel deserves. Real justice through the system, not more bloodshed on his behalf. As paramedics work to stabilize me for transport, Briscoe leans in one last time. "By the way," he says, his voice low, "that condition of yours? The unbreakable bones. Might want to keep that to yourself. World finds out about that. You'll never have peace again." I nod weakly, understanding the wisdom in his advice. My condition saved my life, allowed me to pursue this vendetta. But it's not something I want defining me going forward. The last thing I see before they load me into the ambulance is Darius being strapped to a stretcher, his face contorted with pain and rage. Our eyes meet briefly across the hallway. I expect to feel triumph, satisfaction, closure. Instead, I feel only emptiness, a hollow space where my anger used to be. Justice, it seems, doesn't feel like I thought it would. It doesn't feel like anything at all. Chapter 3. The Breaking Storm. The hospital room is white and sterile, the fluorescent lights harsh overhead. I've been here for 3 days now, recovering from wounds that should have killed me. 2 knife wounds, a bullet in my side, another that grazed my shoulder, and numerous cuts and bruises. The doctors are amazed I'm alive, let alone conscious and alert. Multiple stab wounds, 2 gunshot wounds, severe blood loss, the trauma surgeon told me the morning after I arrived. "By all medical standards, you should be dead, Mr. Holloway." I said nothing. What could I tell him? That my bones don't break? That I survived a bullet to the head just days earlier? That I single-handedly shattered the kneecaps of a notorious gang leader before a detective shot his bodyguard dead in front of me? So I remained silent, letting the doctors wonder, letting them attribute my survival to luck or divine intervention or exceptional medical care. The truth would only invite more questions, more tests, more attention. Detective Briscoe visits me on the 2nd day, looking tired but satisfied. He closes the door to my room, ensuring our privacy before speaking. "Darius Jones is under guard in the secure wing," he informs me, taking a seat beside my bed. "Multiple surgeries on both knees. Doctors say he might walk again with extensive physical therapy, but he'll never run, never be the same." I feel no satisfaction at this news, no sense of victory or justice, just emptiness. "What happens now?" I ask, my voice hoarse from disuse. "Now we build a case. You'll need to testify about what happened at the coffee stand. Identify Darius as the shooter. With your testimony and the evidence we've collected, he's looking at 25 to life. And me? Am I under arrest?" Briscoe shifts in his seat. "Officially, you're a victim who defended himself against armed assailants. Marcus fired first. You responded with the only weapon available, the hammer. I intervened when I saw you were about to be executed." He fixes me with a pointed stare. "That's the story. Stick to it." I nod slowly, understanding what he's offering. A chance to walk away from this, to be a witness rather than a suspect. It's more than I deserve, but I accept it nonetheless. "Why are you helping me?" I ask. "Because we need Darius behind bars, and your testimony helps make that happen." He pauses, then adds, "And because sometimes the system needs a push from outside to work properly. You gave it that push." On the 3rd day, Trixie comes to visit. She looks out of place in the hospital, her street clothes and heavy makeup drawing disapproving glances from the nursing staff. But her eyes, when they meet mine, are filled with genuine concern. "You look like shit," she says by way of greeting, taking the visitor's chair. "Feel like it too," I reply, attempting a smile that probably looks more like a grimace. Heard they got Darius, that he's going away for good. I nod. That's what they tell me. Trixie studies me, her expression thoughtful. Was it worth it? All this? She gestures at my bandaged body, the IV line, the heart monitor beeping steadily beside the bed. It's a question I've been asking myself since waking up here. Was justice for Mr. Patel worth nearly dying for? Worth killing for? I still don't have a clear answer. I don't know, I admit. But it's done now. Darius can't hurt anyone else. No, but the gang's still out there. They'll regroup, find new leadership. She shakes her head. You cut off one head. 2 more grow back. That's not my problem anymore, I say, suddenly tired. I did what I set out to do. It's over. Trixie reaches out, her hand covering mine on the hospital blanket. Her touch is surprisingly gentle. What will you do now? After you get out of here? I haven't thought that far ahead. My entire focus has been on finding Darius, on getting justice for Mr. Patel. Now that it's done, I'm left without purpose, without direction. Go back to normal, I guess, I say, though the words sound hollow even to my own ears. How can I go back to being invisible Nate, the mailroom clerk, after everything that's happened? After discovering what I'm capable of? Normal, Trixie repeats, a skeptical note in her voice. Is that even possible? I'm discharged the next morning, as predicted. The hospital provides scrubs to replace my blood-soaked clothing, which was apparently cut away and discarded when I arrived in the emergency room. I have no money, no phone, no identification. Everything was in my pants pockets. As I stand at the hospital entrance, wondering how I'll get home without bus fare, a car pulls up to the curb. Detective Briscoe rolls down the window, gesturing for me to get in. Figured you might need a ride, he says as I slide into the passenger seat. Hospital called to say you were being released. Thanks, I reply, genuinely grateful. I wasn't sure how I'd get home. Briscoe navigates through morning traffic, neither of us speaking for several minutes. Finally, he breaks the silence. I need to bring you in to make your official statement today. Get everything on record while it's still fresh. I nod, having expected this. What about Darius? Has he said anything? Nothing useful. Lawyered up immediately. But we've got enough physical evidence to make the charges stick, even without his confession. Briscoe glances at me. Your testimony will be crucial, though. You're the only living witness to the coffee stand shooting. I'll tell them what I saw, I assure him. Everything that happened. Well, not everything, Briscoe corrects, his tone pointed. Just what's relevant to the case. No need to mention your extracurricular activities. After giving my statement at the police station, Briscoe drives me back to my apartment. You did good, he says as we pull up to the curb. The district attorney will want to prep you for trial, but that won't be for a while yet. What happens in the meantime? I ask. You live your life. Get a new job. Try to stay out of trouble. He gives me a meaningful look. And maybe see someone about those injuries. A doctor who understands discretion. I nod, understanding the subtext. My wounds need proper medical care, not just the emergency patchwork done at the hospital. And my condition, the unbreakable bones, might require ongoing monitoring. One more thing, Briscoe adds as I open the car door. The East Side killers know you're the witness against Darius. I've arranged for extra patrols in this area, but be careful. Watch your back. The warning sends a chill through me despite the warm day. I hadn't considered that the gang might target me for retribution. In my focus on finding Darius, I overlooked the potential consequences of success. Thanks for the heads up, I say, stepping out of the car. Briscoe nods. I'll be in touch about the trial. Stay safe, Holloway. I watch his car disappear around the corner, then turn toward my building. As I approach the entrance, I notice Trixie leaning against the wall, waiting. Thought you might come back today, she says, pushing off the wall to meet me. How you feeling? Better. Not great, but better. She walks with me into the building and up to my apartment. I'm suddenly conscious of how sparse and impersonal the place is. No photos, no decorations, nothing that says someone actually lives here rather than merely exists. So what's the plan? Trixie asks, making herself comfortable on my couch. Now that it's over. I don't know, I admit, sitting beside her. I quit my job. I've got some savings, but they won't last long. I need to figure out what's next. Could always go back to being a mailroom clerk somewhere else, she suggests, though her tone indicates she doesn't think much of the idea. I shake my head. I can't go back to that. Not after. I gesture vaguely, encompassing everything that's happened. After discovering you're actually alive instead of just going through the motions, Trixie finishes for me. Her words hit home with unexpected force. That's exactly it. I've been sleepwalking through life until now, until a bullet to the head woke me up. The irony doesn't escape me. Yeah, I acknowledge. Something like that. Trixie studies me thoughtfully. You know, with those unbreakable bones of yours, there are better ways to make money than sorting mail. I look at her sharply. I'm not becoming some kind of professional vigilante, if that's what you're suggesting. She laughs. God, no. That's a quick way to end up dead or in prison. She leans forward. But there are legitimate jobs where taking a punch is an asset. Security work, bouncing at clubs, even some construction jobs where accidents happen all the time. It's not a bad idea. My condition gives me an advantage in physically demanding or potentially dangerous work. Jobs I'd never have considered before suddenly seem viable. I'll think about it, I promise. After Trixie leaves, I collapse onto my bed, fully clothed, and sleep for 14 straight hours. My body is still healing, still recovering from trauma that would have killed most people. When I wake, it's to the sound of someone knocking on my door. I stumble to answer it, finding Mr. Patel's son standing in the hallway. Rajiv, I remember his name is. He looks tired, grief etched into the lines of his face. Mr. Holloway, he says formally, may I come in? I step aside, allowing him entry, suddenly self-conscious about both my appearance and the state of my apartment. I haven't shaved in days, and empty takeout containers litter the coffee table. Please sit, I offer, hastily clearing space on the couch. Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee? No, thank you, Rajiv replies, sitting stiffly. I won't stay long. I just wanted to speak with you personally. I take the chair opposite him, waiting. The police told me they've arrested the man who killed my father, he begins. That you were instrumental in identifying him. I nod, unsure how much Rajiv knows about my involvement beyond being a witness. I wanted to thank you, he continues, for ensuring justice was done. Many would have simply given their statement and moved on with their lives. You did more. There's something in his tone, a knowing quality that suggests he's aware of exactly what I did. Whether Briscoe told him or he pieced it together himself, Rajiv seems to understand that I hunted Darius down rather than merely identifying him. Your father was a good man, I say simply. He deserved justice. Rajiv nods, his eyes bright with unshed tears. Yes, he was. And yes, he did. He reaches into his jacket pocket and withdraws an envelope, placing it on the coffee table between us. My family would like to express our gratitude. I look at the envelope, but don't touch it. That's not necessary. I didn't do it for money. I understand, but please accept it nonetheless. My father would have wanted to help you, especially knowing you were injured trying to prevent his murder. I still hesitate. Taking money for what I did feels wrong somehow, as if it cheapens my motives, transforms justice into a transaction. Rajiv seems to sense my reluctance. If it helps, think of it as my father's final gift to a valued customer and friend. Put that way, I find it harder to refuse. I reach for the envelope, tucking it into my pocket without opening it. Thank you. No, Mr. Holloway. Thank you. Rajiv stands, extending his hand. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to contact me. My family owes you a debt we can never fully repay. After he leaves, I open the envelope. Inside is $10,000 in $100 bills. A fortune to someone like me who's lived paycheck to paycheck his entire adult life. Enough to cover rent and expenses for several months, while I figure out what comes next. I put the money in my dresser drawer, beneath a stack of t-shirts, then head to the bathroom to shower and shave. As the hot water washes over me, I catalog my injuries. The bullet wound in my side is healing well, the stitches clean and intact. The knife wounds are closing, though they'll leave impressive scars. The original stitches on my forehead have been removed, leaving a raised, angry line where the bullet grazed my skull. Battle scars. Evidence of my transformation from invisible nobody to someone who matters, someone who affects the world around him rather than merely passing through it unnoticed. I spend the next few days recuperating, staying close to my apartment, avoiding the streets where East Side killers might be watching for me. But isolation quickly becomes stifling. I need to move, to be outside, to begin rebuilding some semblance of a normal life. I venture out, walking aimlessly through the neighborhood. People pass me on the sidewalk, some glancing at the scar on my forehead before quickly looking away. I'm no longer invisible. The thought strikes me suddenly, forcefully. Whether it's the scar or something more fundamental in how I carry myself, people notice me now. They make way as I approach, their eyes tracking me momentarily before moving on. It's a strange feeling after a lifetime of being overlooked. My wanderings eventually bring me to the corner where Mr. Patel's coffee cart used to be. It's gone now, removed after his death. The spot feels empty, a void in the urban landscape. I stand there for a long moment, remembering his kind smile, the way he called me Mr. Nate, his gentle assurance that each day might hold surprise and possibility. As I turn to leave, I notice a group of young men on a corner ahead, red bandanas visible. East Side killers. They notice me at the same time, their postures stiffening, expressions hardening. I could cross the street, avoid them entirely, the smart move, certainly. But something in me refuses to be intimidated, to show fear. So I continue forward, meeting their hostile gazes directly. "That's him," one of them says as I approach. "The witness." Another spits on the sidewalk. fucking snitch. I stop a few feet away from them, close enough to be heard clearly but maintaining distance that would allow me to react if they attack. I saw Darius Jones murder an innocent man in cold blood, I say, my voice steady. And I told the truth about it. That doesn't make me a snitch. It makes me a citizen doing his duty. You got a death wish, fat boy? The largest of them asks, taking a step toward me. Because snitches get a lot worse than stitches in this neighborhood. I smile, though there's no humor in it. I already took a bullet to the head and walked away. What else you got? The statement gives them pause. They exchange glances, uncertainty replacing some of their bravado. The story of my survival has clearly spread through gang circles, perhaps growing more fantastical with each retelling. Darius will get out, the large one says, though with less conviction than before. And when he does, he's coming for you first. He'll have to learn to walk again first, I reply, thinking of his shattered kneecaps. That gives me plenty of time to prepare. I move forward, continuing on my way. The gang members part to let me pass, their threats reduced to mutters and glares. Not one of them tries to stop me or follow me. Perhaps they're under orders not to harm the witness before trial. Or perhaps my reputation, the man who took a bullet to the head and hunted down Darius Jones, gives them pause. Back at my apartment, I find Trixie waiting by the entrance. Her expression as I approach tells me something's wrong. What is it? I ask, immediately alert. Inside, she says, nodding toward the building. Not out here. Once in my apartment, with the door locked behind us, she explains. Word on the street is the ESK has put a price on your head. $5,000 to anyone who takes you out before the trial. I absorb this news calmly, having already guessed something like this might happen after my encounter with the gang members. Briscoe warned me they might retaliate. This isn't just retaliation, Nate. This is a hit, professional. They're reaching out to people outside the gang, people with no direct connection to Darius. Harder to trace if something happens to the star witness. The implications are clear. I'm not just dealing with angry gang members now. I'm potentially facing experienced killers who see me as nothing more than a payday. What do? I ask, trusting Trixie's street knowledge more than my own instincts in this situation. You could go to the cops, ask for protection. They sometimes put witnesses in safe houses until trial. It's a reasonable suggestion, but the thought of being confined to a safe house, dependent on police protection, sits uneasily with me. I've only just begun to take control of my life, to step out of the shadows. Going into hiding feels like a step backward. Or, I prompt, sensing there's an alternative she's not mentioning. Trixie hesitates. Or you make it clear that coming after you is more trouble than it's worth. That $5,000 isn't enough to risk what happened to Darius happening to them. You mean fight back. Make an example of anyone who tries to collect the bounty. She nods slowly. It's risky, dangerous, but it might be more effective than hiding. The kind of people who take these contracts respect strength and fear pain. If the first couple who try end up in the hospital, I consider her words. My condition gives me an advantage in physical confrontations. I can withstand punishment that would incapacitate others. But I'm not invulnerable. A bullet to the heart or brain would kill me just as dead as anyone else. I need to be smarter this time, I say, thinking aloud. Not just charging in blind like I did with Darius. You need training, Trixie agrees. Self-defense at minimum, maybe more. Where would I get that kind of training? It's not like I can sign up for classes at the community center with a price on my head. Trixie smiles, a sly expression that suggests she's already thought this through. I might know someone, ex-military guy who teaches certain people certain skills, off the books. Costs money, though. The envelope from Rajiv immediately comes to mind. How much? 500 a session. More if you want weapons training. It's steep, but affordable with the money I've been given, and potentially life-saving given the target on my back. Set it up, I tell her. The next day, Trixie leads me to a warehouse in an industrial area on the outskirts of the city. The building looks abandoned from the outside, but inside, a portion has been converted into a training facility. Mats on the floor, punching bags hanging from exposed beams, weights and exercise equipment arranged along one wall. A man waits for us, his posture military straight despite being in his 50s. His hair is cropped close to his scalp, silver at the temples, and a scar runs from his left eye to his jawline. He studies me as we approach, assessing every detail of my appearance and movement. This is Jonas, Trixie introduces us. Former Special Forces. Now he teaches people how not to die. Among other things, Jonas says, his voice a gravelly rumble. He circles me slowly, eyes narrowed. Trixie says you've got an unusual advantage, dense bones that don't break easily. I nod, wondering how much Trixie has told him. Show me, he demands. I hesitate, unsure what he means. Hit the bag, Jonas clarifies, gesturing to a heavy punching bag nearby. As hard as you can. I step up to the bag, form a fist the way I've seen in movies, and swing with all my strength. The impact jolts up my arm, but there's no pain in my knuckles, no feeling of bones compressing or threatening to break. The bag swings wildly from the force of the blow. Jonas nods, apparently satisfied. Again, keep going until I tell you to stop. I obey, punching the bag repeatedly. After 20 or 30 blows, my muscles ache from the unfamiliar exertion, but my hand and wrist show no signs of the damage that would normally result from untrained, unprotected punching. Interesting, Jonas says, stopping me with a raised hand. Your form is terrible, but your bones are definitely unusual. Let's see what else you can do. What follows is 3 hours of the most physically demanding activity I've ever experienced. Jonas tests my strength, speed, endurance, and pain tolerance. By the end, I'm drenched in sweat, every muscle screaming in protest. But my bones remain undamaged, despite impacts that would fracture or break normal human bones. You've got potential, Jonas concludes, as I collapse onto a bench, gulping water from a bottle Trixie hands me. Your condition gives you an edge in absorbing punishment, but your technique is non-existent. Your conditioning is poor, and you telegraph every move before you make it. Anyone with training would see you coming a mile away. Can you fix that? I ask between breaths. Some of it. Not all. Not quickly. He considers me, head tilted slightly. How long do we have before someone tries to collect that bounty on your head? Unknown. Could be days, could be weeks. Jonas nods, as if this confirms something he already suspected. Then we prioritize. First, defensive techniques, how to block, evade, minimize damage. Then basic offensive moves, strikes that don't require finesse, but can incapacitate an opponent quickly. Weapon defense last, since that's what will most likely kill you despite your condition. It's a brutally practical assessment, focused entirely on survival rather than mastery, exactly what I need. When do we start? I ask. We already have, Jonas replies. Lesson 1 was your limitations. Now you know what your body can and can't handle. He pulls out a phone, checks the time. Tomorrow, same time. Bring appropriate clothing and prepare to hurt in ways you've never experienced before. The next 3 weeks fall into a new routine. Mornings are spent recuperating from the previous day's training, afternoons with Jonas at the warehouse, evenings applying what I've learned and allowing my body to heal. My wounds from the confrontation with Darius close completely, leaving only scars as reminders. Jonas proves to be as good as Trixie claimed, a merciless instructor with encyclopedic knowledge of violence in all its forms. He teaches me how to fall without injury, how to block strikes efficiently, how to deliver devastating counterattacks when an opening presents itself. He doesn't try to make me a skilled fighter. There isn't time for that. Instead, he focuses on making me a difficult target, someone who can survive long enough to either escape or end a confrontation decisively. Your strategy is simple, he explains during one session. Let them hit you. Let them hurt themselves on those unbreakable bones. Then, when they're injured, confused, or tired, strike with maximum force. Don't try to be pretty or technical. Just be effective. I absorb his lessons as best I can, improving rapidly due to both the intensity of the training and my unique condition. Techniques that would take others months to master, because they must build up physical conditioning and pain tolerance come more naturally to me. I still feel pain, Jonas makes sure of that, but I don't suffer the consequences of broken bones or damaged joints. Throughout these weeks, Trixie continues to bring information from the streets. The bounty on my head remains active, but no one has made a serious attempt to collect it yet. The East Side killers are in disarray without Darius's leadership. Factions forming as lieutenants vie for control. This internal conflict has temporarily diverted attention from me, but Trixie warns it won't last. Once someone establishes dominance, they'll want to prove themselves by dealing with unfinished business, she explains, and you're at the top of that list. Detective Briscoe visits once during this period, bringing updates on the case against Darius. The trial is scheduled for 3 months from now. Darius remains in custody, denied bail due to the severity of the charges and his flight risk. His legs are healing, but as predicted, he'll never walk normally again. The DA is confident, Briscoe tells me as we sit in my living room. With your testimony and the physical evidence, conviction is almost certain. 25 to life minimum. Good, I say, feeling some measure of satisfaction for the first time since this began. Mr. Patel deserves justice? Briscoe nods, then notices the changes in my apartment. The new exercise equipment in the corner, the books on self-defense on the coffee table. Preparing for something? Just staying healthy, I reply neutrally. He doesn't push, but his expression suggests he knows exactly what I'm doing. Be careful, Holloway. The ESK isn't known for forgiveness. Even with Darius behind bars, they'll hold a grudge. I'm aware. I'm taking precautions. That night, I receive a text from an unknown number. Tomorrow. Package delivery. Be ready. The message is cryptic, but its meaning is clear enough to me. Someone is coming for the bounty. Tomorrow. I text Trixie. It's happening. Her reply comes quickly. Where will you be? I consider my options. Meeting the threat at my apartment puts me at a disadvantage. Confined spaces, neighbors who could become collateral damage. Public places offer witnesses and potential police response. but also innocent bystanders. The warehouse where I train with Jonas is remote, controlled, familiar territory. The warehouse, I text back. 3 p.m. I'll be there, comes Trixie's response. Jonas, too. I hadn't considered involving them directly in what might become a violent confrontation. Too dangerous, I text. This is my fight. Shut up. We're coming. Besides, Jonas wants to see if his training stuck. I smile despite the gravity of the situation. In the few weeks I've known them, Trixie and Jonas have become the closest thing to friends I've had in years, perhaps ever. Their willingness to stand with me means more than I can express. Sleep comes fitfully that night, my mind cycling through potential scenarios, strategies, outcomes. Jonas has trained me for exactly this situation, but training and reality are different beasts entirely. By morning, I'm exhausted but alert. Adrenaline already beginning to course through my system. I spend the morning in preparation. I check and recheck the weapons Jonas has allowed me to keep. Nothing illegal, but items that can serve as effective defensive tools. A tactical flashlight, heavy enough to use as an impact weapon. A folding knife with a blade just under the legal limit. A telescoping steel baton that extends with a flick of the wrist. I dress strategically in layers that provide some protection without restricting movement. By 2 o'clock, I'm at the warehouse, setting up the space to my advantage. Jonas arrives shortly after, carrying a duffel bag that clanks suspiciously as he sets it down. Trixie filled me in, he says without preamble. How many are we expecting? Unknown. The message wasn't specific. He nods, surveying the warehouse with the experienced eye of someone who has prepared for combat many times before. We'll create choke points here and here, he says, pointing to areas between stacked crates. Limit their ability to surround us. Use the higher ground on the catwalk for surveillance. Trixie arrives at 2:30, dressed all in black, her usual revealing clothing replaced by practical attire that allows for movement. She carries nothing that looks like a weapon, but I suspect she's armed in ways that aren't immediately obvious. 2 cars parked 3 blocks away, she reports. Men inside watching. They followed me part of the way, then backed off when they realized where I was headed. Confirming the location, Jonas surmises. Smart. They'll wait for backup before moving in. The 3 of us position ourselves strategically. Jonas takes the high ground on the catwalk, where he has clear sightlines to all entrances. Trixie conceals herself among the crates near the main door. I stand in the center of the cleared area we normally use for training, visible to anyone entering but with clear paths to cover if needed. 3 o'clock comes and goes, then 3:15, 3:30. The waiting is its own form of psychological warfare, tension building with each passing minute. Movement outside, Jonas calls down quietly from his position. 4 men approaching the main entrance. Armed. My heart rate increases, but I focus on my breathing, just as Jonas taught me. In through the nose, hold, out through the mouth. Center yourself. Be present. The door creaks open slowly. A man peers inside, scanning the warehouse interior before stepping fully into view. 3 more follow him, spreading out in a practiced formation that suggests military or law enforcement training. All carry handguns, held low but ready. Nathan Holloway? The first man calls out, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. We're here to talk. Armed men don't usually just want to talk, I reply, remaining where I stand, hands visible at my sides. The man smiles thinly. Precautions, This neighborhood isn't the safest. He's in his 40s, I'd guess. Fit, with the hard look of someone who's seen violence and participated in it without hesitation. The others are younger, but with the same dangerous competence in their movements and expressions. "What do you want?" I ask, though I already know the answer. "You've caused problems for certain business interests in this area," the man says, taking another step forward. "We're here to resolve those problems." "By collecting the bounty on my head?" He shrugs, not bothering to deny it. "Business is business. Nothing personal." "It was personal to Mr. Patel when Darius Jones shot him dead over pocket change," I say, anger seeping into my voice despite my efforts to remain calm. "It's personal to me, too." The man sighs, as if disappointed by my response. "We hoped you might be reasonable. Disappear for a while until after the trial. No one has to get hurt. Except Darius Jones, who belongs in prison for murder." "That's not our concern. Our job is to ensure you don't testify. How that happens is up to you." I assess the situation, calculating odds and options. 4 armed men against me, Trixie, and Jonas. Not good odds, even with my condition and our preparation. If I can keep them talking, maybe find a peaceful resolution. "Who hired you?" I ask, playing for time. The man smiles again, seeing through my tactic. "Does it matter?" "The outcome is the same. Either you walk away now, leave town until this blows over, or things get unpleasant." "I'm not leaving," I state firmly, "and I will testify against Darius Jones." The man shakes his head, genuinely regretful it seems. "Then we do this the hard way." He raises his gun, and the world seems to slow down. Jonas has prepared me for this moment. How to react when a weapon is drawn. How to maximize my chances of survival. I dive to the side as the first shot rings out, rolling behind a stack of crates as bullets spark off concrete where I stood moments before. Chaos erupts. From the catwalk, Jonas opens fire with a weapon I didn't know he had, forcing the gunman to scatter for cover. Trixie emerges from her hiding place, throwing something that explodes in a cloud of blinding smoke. The warehouse fills with gunfire, shouting, the crash of overturned equipment. One of the gunmen appears around the corner, weapon raised. I react instinctively, driving forward with my shoulder, slamming him into the wall with all my weight behind the impact. His gun discharges, the bullet grazing my side, but my momentum is too great to stop. We crash to the ground together, grappling for control of the weapon. He's trained, experienced, but I have mass and desperation on my side, and bones that don't break. When he strikes me in the face, his knuckles crack against my skull. When he tries to gouge my eyes, I turn my head so his fingers scrape against my forehead instead. His shock at my resilience gives me the opening I need to wrench the gun from his grasp and slam my fist into his temple. He goes limp beneath me. Through gaps in the smoke, I spot Trixie engaged in hand-to-hand combat with one of the gunmen. Despite her size disadvantage, she moves with lethal precision, each strike targeting vulnerable points: throat, eyes, groin. The man drops to his knees, then collapses entirely as she delivers a final blow to the back of his neck. Jonas is pinned down on the catwalk, exchanging fire with the remaining 2 gunmen. I grab the telescoping baton from my pocket, extending it with a flick of my wrist just as Jonas taught me. Then I move through the smoke toward the nearest gunman, approaching from behind as he focuses on the catwalk. The baton connects with the back of his knee with a sickening crack. He screams, collapsing, his gun clattering away across the concrete floor. Before he can recover, I strike again, catching him across the shoulders with enough force to stun but not permanently injure. He stays down, moaning. That leaves only the leader, the man who offered me the choice to leave town. He's taken cover behind a forklift, still firing occasionally at Jonas's position. I circle around, keeping low, using the smoke and crates for concealment. I'm 10 feet away when he spots me. He swings his gun in my direction, but Trixie emerges from the smoke behind him, slamming something heavy against the back of his head. He stumbles, disoriented, but not unconscious. I close the distance, striking his gun hand with the baton, forcing him to drop the weapon. "Enough!" Jonas calls from above. The firing has stopped. The smoke begins to clear, revealing the aftermath of our brief but violent encounter. 4 hired killers, all neutralized. No fatalities, but plenty of injuries that will require medical attention. The leader glares at me, holding his damaged hand against his chest. "You have no idea what you've done," he spits. "This doesn't end here." "Yes, it does," I reply, keeping the baton raised in case he tries anything. "You're going to deliver a message. The bounty on my head isn't worth it. Anyone who comes for me ends up like this, or worse." "You think you're tough because you got lucky once?" he snarls. "There are people who won't stop, won't be intimidated. People who—" His words cut off as Jonas descends from the catwalk and presses a gun against the base of his skull. "Enough talking," Jonas says calmly. "Here's what happens next. You and your friends leave. You tell whoever hired you that Nathan Holloway is under my protection now. You know who I am?" The leader's expression changes, fear replacing anger as he looks more closely at Jonas. "You're the ghost." Jonas smiles, a cold expression that never reaches his eyes. "Good. Then you understand what happens if anyone comes near Mr. Holloway again." The leader pales visibly. Whatever the ghost means, it clearly carries significant weight in his world. He nods slowly. "I'll deliver the message." "Excellent." Jonas steps back, lowering his weapon. "Take your people and go. I'd suggest immediate medical attention for at least 2 of them." The 4 men limp out of the warehouse, supporting each other, looking nothing like the confident professionals who entered less than 15 minutes ago. Once they're gone, I turn to Jonas, questions burning in my mind. "The ghost?" I ask. Jonas shrugs, beginning to gather his equipment. "An old nickname from a previous life, useful when dealing with certain types of people. They recognized you. Reputation has value in their world." He checks his watch. "We should clear out. Gunfire tends to attract attention, even in this neighborhood." As we exit through the loading dock, I'm struck by the unreality of what just happened. 4 armed men came to kill or intimidate me, and we sent them away defeated. It feels like a victory, but I know better than to get complacent. "Will it work?" I ask Trixie as we put distance between ourselves and the warehouse. The message, I mean. "Depends who placed the bounty," she replies. "If it's just the ESK trying to protect Darius, then probably. Jonas's reputation carries weight. But if someone higher up is involved, someone with real resources and connections, she doesn't need to finish the thought. If powerful interests want me silenced, today's confrontation is just the beginning." We separate, taking different routes back to our respective homes to avoid being followed. I'm keyed up from the fight, adrenaline still coursing through my system, making every sense hyper-aware. I check and double-check that I'm not being tailed, before finally reaching my apartment building. Trixie is waiting for me inside my apartment, having apparently beaten me there. She's brewing coffee in my small kitchen, looking surprisingly calm for someone who was in a life-or-death struggle an hour ago. "How are you holding up?" she asks, pouring me a cup. I consider the question seriously. My body aches from exertion and the blows I took during the fight, but nothing is broken, nothing seriously damaged. Mentally, I'm still processing everything that happened. "I'm okay," I say, accepting the coffee. "Better than I should be, probably." Trixie nods, understanding. First time in combat is always surreal. The adrenaline, the fear, the way time seems to stretch and compress at the same time. "You seemed experienced," I observe. "Like you've done this before." She sips her coffee, not meeting my eyes. "Let's just say this wasn't my first rodeo." I don't press for details. We all have parts of our past we prefer not to discuss. Whatever led Trixie to her current life, whatever skills she acquired along the way, they helped save my life today. That's all that matters. "What happens now?" I ask instead. We wait. See if the message takes hold. If no one else comes for you in the next week or two, we can assume the bounty's been withdrawn, or at least put on hold. And if someone does come? Trixie's expression hardens. Then we deal with them too. Until eventually, they learn to leave you alone. It sounds simple when she says it, but I know the reality is far more complex. Each confrontation carries risk. Each victory the potential for escalation. There's no guarantee this will end with me alive and free to testify against Darius. "I never wanted this," I say quietly. "All I wanted was justice for Mr. Patel." "And you're getting it," Trixie reminds me. "Darius will go to prison because of your testimony. That's worth fighting for." She's right, of course. Despite the danger, despite the violence that has entered my previously mundane life, the core purpose remains unchanged. Ensuring Darius Jones faces consequences for murdering a kind old man who just wanted to make a living selling coffee. The next day brings news, as Trixie predicted. The leader of the bounty hunters was found dead in his car. A single bullet to the head. Professional hit, according to her sources. The others have disappeared, either in hiding or eliminated as well. "Someone's cleaning house," Jonas explains when we meet to discuss this development. "Removing liabilities, people who could talk." "About the bounty on my head?" I ask. "About whoever placed it," Trixie clarifies. "This isn't small-time gang business anymore. Someone with serious resources and connections is involved. The implications are troubling. If powerful interests are working to prevent me from testifying against Darius, they likely have reach beyond street-level enforcers. Police, courts, government, corruption could extend anywhere. I need to talk to Briscoe, I decide. He should know about this. Jonas looks skeptical. "You sure you can trust him?" It's a fair question. I've known Detective Briscoe for only a short time, and under unusual circumstances. But my instincts tell me he's one of the good ones, genuinely committed to justice rather than just going through the motions. "Yes," I say firmly. "I trust him." I call Briscoe from a burner phone Jonas provides, arranging to meet at a diner far from my neighborhood. He arrives alone as requested, looking tired but alert. I tell him everything, the bounty on my head, the confrontation at the warehouse, the subsequent cleanup that left the bounty hunters dead. "Jesus, Holloway," he says when I finish. "You've stepped in it now." "I didn't exactly choose this," I remind him. "They came after me." I know. He runs a hand through his thinning hair. But this confirms what I've suspected for a while. Darius isn't just some gang leader. He's connected to something bigger. Like what? Briscoe hesitates, glancing around the nearly empty diner before leaning forward. For the past year, I've been working with Internal Affairs and the FBI on a corruption investigation. We have reason to believe certain officers in our department are on the payroll of a criminal organization that controls multiple street gangs, including the East Side Killers. This aligns with what the bounty hunter said, that there are people who won't stop, who can't be intimidated, people with real power. How high does it go? I ask. We don't know yet. Captain level at minimum, possibly higher into city government. Briscoe looks troubled. The problem is evidence. These people are careful, insulated. Nothing directly connects them to the criminal activity they profit from. Until Darius shot Mr. Patel in broad daylight, I say, understanding dawning. With a witness, me. Briscoe nods grimly. If Darius talks to save himself, if he implicates his superiors in exchange for leniency, well, a lot of powerful people would be very motivated to make sure that doesn't happen. By eliminating the witness whose testimony would convict him in the first place, I conclude. Exactly. No conviction, no leverage to make Darius flip on his bosses. The scope of what I'm involved in is suddenly much larger than I realized. This isn't just about justice for one murder victim anymore. It's about exposing a system of corruption that has festered in the city for who knows how long. What do we do? I ask. We protect you until the trial, Briscoe says firmly. And I mean real protection, not just your friends with guns. Federal marshals, safe house, the works. I'd be in protective custody until the trial, months from now. It's that or risk ending up dead, Holloway. These people don't play around. After he leaves, I sit in the diner, nursing a cold cup of coffee, turning the situation over in my mind. I've come so far from the passive, invisible man I was before the shooting. The thought of returning to a state of helplessness, dependent on others for my survival, feels like a step backward. But pride won't keep me alive if professional killers with police connections come for me. I call Trixie, asking her to meet me. We walk through a public park, unlikely to be overheard. I explain everything Briscoe told me, the true scope of what we're facing. Witness protection, she says when I finish. He's right, you know. It's the smart play. I know, but you don't want to surrender your newfound agency, she finishes for me. I get it, Nate, I really do. But sometimes surviving is the most rebellious act possible. Her words strike a chord. Surviving to testify, to help bring down not just Darius but potentially an entire network of corruption that has value beyond my personal feelings about dependency or autonomy. You're right, I acknowledge. I'll call Briscoe tomorrow, make arrangements. Trixie smiles, relieved. Good. I'd hate to have to attend your funeral after all the work I put into keeping you alive. We part ways at the edge of the park, agreeing to meet one last time before I enter protective custody. I head back toward my apartment, mind made up but still processing the implications of my decision. I'm 2 blocks from home when instinct makes me pause, look around. Nothing seems immediately out of place, but something feels wrong. A car parked across the street with tinted windows. A man on his phone who's been walking the same pace as me for the last block. Jonas's training kicks in. I change direction suddenly, turning down a side street, quickening my pace slightly. In my peripheral vision, I see the man on the phone change course as well, maintaining the same distance behind me. The car with tinted windows pulls away from the curb, circling the block to intercept me ahead. I'm being herded. My heart rate increases, but I keep my outward demeanor calm. Options race through my mind. I could run, try to lose them in the maze of side streets and alleys. I could confront them directly, use my condition and training to fight my way clear. Or I could play along, see where they're trying to lead me, potentially gaining information about who's behind the bounty. The third option is the most dangerous, but potentially the most valuable. I decide to let them think they're succeeding, while staying alert for an opportunity to escape or turn the tables. I continue walking, allowing myself to be maneuvered toward an industrial area where businesses have closed for the day. Few witnesses, plenty of places to dispose of a body. Not an encouraging scenario. The car pulls up alongside me, passenger window rolling down. "Get in," a voice commands. "Or we can do this right here on the street." I peer inside. 2 men in the front seats, professionally dressed, nothing visibly identifying them as police or criminals. Could be either. Could be both. "Who are you?" I ask, buying time, assessing options. "Friends of Mr. Jones," the driver replies. "He'd like a word." Darius wants to talk to me? This is unexpected. He's in custody, severely injured. How could he arrange this? "He's in jail," I point out. "Hard to have a conversation there." "There are ways," the passenger says cryptically. "Now get in. Last chance to do this the easy way." I glance behind me. The man who was following on foot has closed the distance, one hand inside his jacket in a way that suggests he's armed. My choices are narrowing rapidly. I get in the car. The city passes by outside the window, familiar streets giving way to areas I don't recognize. Eventually, we pull into the underground parking garage of an upscale apartment building. My escorts lead me to a private elevator requiring a key card, which takes us directly to the penthouse level. A man in a wheelchair awaits us, looking out at the city through floor-to-ceiling windows. Not Darius. This man is older, maybe in his 60s, with silver hair and the polished appearance of wealth and power. "Nathan Holloway," he says without turning, "the mailroom clerk who's caused so much trouble." His voice carries the smooth confidence of someone accustomed to authority, to being obeyed without question. "And you are?" I ask, keeping my tone neutral despite the tension coursing through me. Now he turns the wheelchair, facing me fully. "Richard Vance. I believe you know my son." It takes me a moment to make the connection. Darius Jones. His full name is Darius Jones Vance. The gang leader who murdered Mr. Patel is the son of this wealthy, powerful-looking man. "Your son killed an innocent man," I say, unable to keep the edge from my voice. "Shot him dead over pocket change." Vance sighs, as if we're discussing a minor traffic violation rather than murder. Darius has always had impulse control issues. A regrettable incident, certainly. "Regrettable?" I repeat, incredulous. "A man is dead. Your son shot me in the head and left me for dead." "And yet here you stand," Vance observes, studying me with clinical interest. "The doctors tell me you have a most unusual skeletal structure. Dense bones that can withstand impacts that would shatter normal human bones." The fact that he knows this, has access to my medical information, confirms what Briscoe suggested about the reach of the corruption. Nothing is private. Nothing is secure. "What do you want from me?" I ask, though I already know the answer. "I want you to reconsider your decision to testify against my son," Vance says simply. The trial is still months away. Memories fade. Details become fuzzy. Perhaps what you saw that morning wasn't as clear as you initially thought. As we talk, one of Vance's men places a briefcase on the coffee table between us, opening it to reveal neatly stacked bundles of cash. $1 million, Vance states, tax-free, untraceable. Enough to start a new life anywhere you choose. All you have to do is refuse to testify, or if called to the stand, simply state that you can no longer be certain it was Darius you saw that morning. $1 million. More money than I'd earn in 20 years at my old mailroom job. Enough to disappear, to create a comfortable new existence far from the violence and danger that have defined my life these past weeks. But Mr. Patel would still be dead. His killer would go free. The corruption infecting the city would continue unchecked. And I would have to live with the knowledge that I chose my comfort over justice, my safety over doing what's right. No, I say, the word coming out stronger than I expected. I won't lie for your son. I won't pretend I didn't see what I saw. Vance's expression hardens, all pretense of civility falling away. You understand what you're turning down? Not just the money, but your life. Because make no mistake, Mr. Holloway, if you testify against my son, you won't live to see him convicted. Is that why you brought me here? To threaten me to my face? I brought you here to give you one last chance to be reasonable, Vance replies coldly, to understand exactly what you're up against. I understand perfectly, I say, meeting his gaze without flinching. Your son is a murderer, and you're trying to protect him with money and threats, but it won't work. I will testify, and Darius will go to prison for what he did. Vance studies me for a long moment, something like respect flickering briefly in his eyes before being replaced by cold determination. Very well. You've made your choice. He gestures to his men. Show Mr. Holloway out. The long way. I tense, expecting immediate violence, but the men merely take my arms and escort me back to the elevator. We descend not to the parking garage, but to the basement level. Dark, unfinished, isolated. One of the men produces a gun with a silencer attached. Nothing personal, he says. Just business. I'm about to fight, to use every technique Jonas taught me, to rely on my unbreakable bones and the element of surprise when a voice calls out from the darkness. Police! Drop your weapons! The basement floods with light as officers in tactical gear swarm in from multiple entrances. My would-be executioners freeze, then slowly raise their hands, letting their weapons clatter to the floor. Detective Briscoe emerges from behind a concrete pillar, weapon trained on my captors. You okay, Holloway? I nod, stunned by the sudden turn of events. How did you... Tracker in your shoe, he explains briefly. Placed it when we met at the diner. Figured you might need backup if you insisted on being stubborn. As the officers handcuff Vance's men, Briscoe explains further. We've been building a case against Richard Vance for months. Suspected he was the money and connections behind several criminal enterprises, including the East Side Killers. But we never had direct evidence linking him to illegal activity. Until he tried to bribe and threaten a witness in his son's murder trial, I conclude. Exactly. And we got it all on camera and audio. Briscoe looks satisfied, almost gleeful. The whole conversation in the penthouse, his offer, your refusal, his threat, enough to put him away alongside his son. So it's over? I ask, hardly daring to believe it could be this simple. The immediate danger to you is over, Briscoe confirms. Vance is being arrested as we speak. With him in custody and the evidence we've gathered, the bounty on your head is effectively nullified. Relief washes over me, so powerful it makes my knees weak. For the first time since the shooting at Mr. Patel's coffee stand, I can breathe without the weight of imminent threat pressing down on me. We'll still want you in protective custody until the trial, Briscoe adds. Standard procedure for key witnesses, but it'll be more formality than necessity now. I nod, no longer resistant to the idea. I've proven to myself that I can stand on my own, face danger head-on, make the hard choice when it matters. Accepting protection now isn't surrender or regression. It's practical, sensible. As I'm led to a waiting police car, I glance up at the penthouse level of the building. Richard Vance is being escorted out by officers, handcuffed despite his status and wealth. Our eyes meet briefly across the distance. His expression is one of cold hatred, but also something else. Disbelief, perhaps, that his carefully constructed world could be brought down by someone as seemingly insignificant as a mailroom clerk. But I'm not just a mailroom clerk anymore. I'm not invisible, not powerless, not passive. I'm Nathan Holloway, the man with unbreakable bones who refused to be broken in spirit. The man who stood up for justice when it would have been easier, safer to look away. The city passes by outside the car window, lights blurring together in the darkness. Somewhere out there is the spot where Mr. Patel's coffee cart once stood, where a kind old man smiled and wished me good days, where my life changed forever with the crack of a gunshot. I touch the scar on my forehead, a permanent reminder of that moment. Not just of the violence and pain, but of awakening, of purpose found in the most unlikely circumstances. Sometimes life surprises us when we least expect, Mr. Patel had said that final morning. How right he was, how right. Chapter 4. Unbreakable. 2 days after my encounter with Richard Vance, I'm back in my apartment, gathering everything I'll need for what comes next. The weight of what I'm about to do presses down on me, but there's no turning back now. Not after everything I've learned. Briscoe's investigation into the corruption surrounding Darius and his father is moving too slowly. Warrants stalled by judges on Vance's payroll. Evidence mysteriously disappearing from lockup. Witnesses suddenly refusing to cooperate. The recording of Vance threatening me? Technically inadmissible due to procedural errors in how it was obtained. The system is broken, manipulated by the very people it's meant to restrain. We'll get there eventually, Briscoe insisted when he told me the bad news yesterday. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn. But I don't have that kind of patience anymore. Not when Mr. Patel's killers are still free, still pulling strings, still hurting people like Trixie who get in their way. She was released from the hospital yesterday, her face a map of bruises, her arm in a cast. Vance's way of sending a message. I take stock of my resources one last time. The hammer that started this journey, now cleaned and wrapped in cloth. The switchblade Trixie gave me. The telescoping baton from Jonas. A tactical flashlight bright enough to temporarily blind. Simple tools, nothing fancy, but effective in the right hands. I dress methodically in dark clothing that allows for movement. Black jeans, a black thermal shirt, sturdy boots. No mask or disguise. I'm not hiding my identity anymore. This isn't about vengeance in the shadows. It's about bringing everything into the light. My phone buzzes with a text from Trixie. Are you sure about this? I type back a simple yes. Her response comes quickly. Be careful. Don't die. It's as close to a blessing as I'm likely to get. Jonas disappeared after the warehouse confrontation, leaving only a burner phone and a note with instructions I've memorized and destroyed. He knew this moment would come, knew I'd need one final push to finish what I started. As evening falls, I leave my apartment for what might be the last time. The city takes on a different character at night. Shadows deeper, lights more stark, dangers more immediate. I take public transit to the financial district, just another commuter heading home late, invisible by choice rather than circumstance. Dryden Financial Services occupies 15 floors of the Rosemont building, where I worked in the mailroom for 15 years. I know this place intimately. Every service entrance, every security checkpoint, every blind spot in the camera system. Knowledge accumulated through years of being part of the building's infrastructure, as overlooked as the pipes in the walls or the wires in the ceiling. Tonight, that knowledge becomes a weapon. The security guard at the main entrance doesn't recognize me despite my years of service. I don't approach him. Instead, I circle around to the loading dock where late deliveries arrive. At 8:47 p.m., right on schedule, the evening food delivery for the overnight cleaning crew arrives. The driver leaves his truck unattended for approximately 3 minutes while he gets signatures inside. Enough time for me to slip into the cargo area and hide among the boxes of snacks and supplies. The truck enters the building's secure area, passing through the retractable bollards and security gate. When the driver opens the back to unload, I'm already gone, slipping into the shadows of the underground parking level. From there, I access the service elevator, the same one I used countless times to deliver mail throughout the building. My destination is the 38th floor, executive offices. According to the documents Jonas provided, this is where Richard Vance maintains a suite despite having no official connection to Dryden Financial. The perfect place to conduct business away from prying eyes, to meet with corrupt officials and police captains on his payroll, to count the profits from the criminal enterprises his son manages on the street level. The service elevator requires a key card for after-hours access to executive floors. I don't have one. What I do have is intimate knowledge of the building's systems, including the fact that maintenance overrode the card readers last week to accommodate an upgrade to the HVAC system. The override is still active, a detail in a maintenance log no one bothered to update because such things are beneath notice. The elevator rises smoothly, each floor passing in silence. My heart rate remains steady, my breathing controlled, just as Jonas taught me. When the doors open on the 38th floor, I'm faced with darkness broken only by the dim emergency lighting required by building code. I move quietly through familiar territory, now made strange by shadows and intent. The executive floor is all glass and polished wood, expensive carpeting muffling my footsteps. There are security cameras here, but Jonas's information indicated they would be on a scheduled maintenance loop tonight. Convenient timing that cost him a significant favor from someone in building security. Vance's suite is at the far end of the floor, a corner office with the best views of the city. As I approach, I notice light spilling from beneath the door. Someone's working late. Perfect. I don't hesitate. There's no time for doubt or second thoughts. I open the door and step inside. The office is spacious and luxurious. Leather furniture, abstract art on the walls, a desk that probably cost more than everything I own combined. Behind that desk sits Richard Vance, looking up from his computer with mild annoyance that quickly transforms to shock when he recognizes me. "Holloway," he says, recovering quickly. "You're either very brave or very stupid." I've been called worse, I reply, closing the door behind me. By your son, for one. Vance's eyes dart to the phone on his desk, calculating. Don't bother, I tell him. Your security team is currently dealing with a situation in the lobby. Someone called in a bomb threat. Standard protocol is to lock down the building while first responders check it out. Nobody's coming up here for at least 20 minutes. He raises an eyebrow, genuinely impressed. You've done your homework, but to what end? You can't seriously think you can harm me and walk away from this. I'm not here to harm you. I move further into the office, positioning myself between Vance and the door. I'm here for the evidence. Now he looks confused. What evidence? The records. Financial transactions linking Dryden to the East Side Killers and your other criminal enterprises. Payoff schedules for police and city officials. Everything you keep where you think it's safe. A smile spreads across his face, amused rather than threatened. And you think I keep such things in my office? That I'd be so careless? Not in the office. In the server room 2 doors down. On a private server running parallel to Dryden's main network. Isolated, secure, but accessible from your terminal here with the right credentials. The smile falters. Who have you been talking to? Who told you about that? That doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm leaving here tonight with those records, one way or another. Vance studies me, reassessing. You know, when Darius told me about the man with the unbreakable skull, I thought he was exaggerating, a convenient excuse for his failure. But here you are, the mailroom clerk who somehow survived a bullet to the head and has become a surprising thorn in my side. He leans back in his chair, projecting calm confidence despite the circumstance. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that such records exist. What exactly do you plan to do with them? Go to the police? Many of whom are on my payroll, the district attorney, the newspapers. They all answer to someone, Mr. Holloway, and money talks louder than evidence in this city. Not to Briscoe, I say. Not to the FBI agents he's working with. A flicker of genuine concern crosses Vance's face. Ah, Detective Briscoe, one of the few genuinely incorruptible men in the department. A problem we've been meaning to address. He sighs. But even Briscoe needs proper evidence, obtained legally with chain of custody intact, not stolen files delivered by a vigilante with a personal vendetta. That's why you're going to access the server for me, I tell him. Using your credentials, your authorization, everything nice and legal. Vance laughs, a genuine sound of amusement. And why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'll take you to the basement and introduce you to what your son experienced. Except you don't have youth on your side. Your bones will break much more easily than his did. The threat hangs in the air between us. Vance's amusement fades, replaced by cold calculation. You're not a killer, Holloway. Not really. You had your chance with Darius and you left him alive. I'm not the same man I was then, I reply, and something in my voice or expression must convince him, because he shifts uncomfortably in his chair. Even if I were to cooperate, he says carefully, the system would require biometric confirmation, fingerprint, retinal scan. You can't force those. I don't need to force anything. You'll provide them willingly. Such confidence, he muses. Based on what? I place my phone on his desk and press play on the recording I made of our conversation in his penthouse. His voice emerges clearly. If you testify against my son, you won't live to see him convicted. A direct threat caught on tape. Briscoe planted a tracker on me that night. but I added my own insurance. This recording may not be admissible for your bribery attempt, but a direct death threat? That's enough to start an investigation, enough for search warrants, enough to freeze your assets while they dig. Vance's expression hardens. You think this recording protects you? It just gives me more reason to ensure you don't leave this building alive. The recording was automatically uploaded to a secure server the moment you made your threat. If I don't check in every 24 hours, it goes directly to Briscoe, the FBI, and several news outlets, along with everything I know about your operation. I smile thinly. Dead man's switch. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? It's a bluff. There is no automatic upload, no dead man's switch. But Vance doesn't know that, and the seeds of doubt are clearly visible in his expression. What's it going to be? I ask. Cooperate and maybe salvage something from this situation, or resist and lose everything for certain. Vance weighs his options. A lifetime of controlling others through fear and corruption, now faced with someone who can't be intimidated or bought. After a long moment, he nods almost imperceptibly. Very well. Let's proceed to the server room. I motion for him to lead the way, staying close behind him as we exit the office and move down the hallway. The server room is exactly where Jonas's information placed it, 2 doors down, secured by both keycard and keypad entry. Vance uses both, then places his hand on a biometric scanner that reads his palm print. The door opens to reveal a small room humming with electronics, several server racks blinking with activity lights, cooling systems maintaining the optimal temperature for the sensitive equipment. A workstation sits in one corner, monitor glowing in the dimly lit space. After you, I say, gesturing Vance toward the workstation. He sits reluctantly, logging into the system with practiced movements. A series of prompts appears, requiring additional authentication, passwords, a physical security key he produces from his pocket, and finally a retinal scan from a device attached to the monitor. There, he says once the system grants access. Now what? There's terabytes of data here. What exactly are you looking for? Financial records first. Transactions between Dryden Shell companies and the street operations. Money laundering, profit distribution. He navigates through folders, pulling up spreadsheets and ledgers detailing the flow of money from street-level criminal activities. Drug sales, protection rackets, prostitution, through various shell companies, and finally into legitimate-seeming investments. Millions of dollars, all organized with corporate efficiency. Payment records next, I direct. Police, judges, city officials. More files appear, these containing names, amounts, dates, a catalog of corruption spanning years, reaching into every corner of city government. Some names I recognize from the news. Respected public figures whose integrity is apparently for sale at the right price. Download everything, I tell him, placing a thumb drive on the desk that Jonas provided for exactly this purpose. This won't change anything, Vance says as he initiates the transfer. People like me exist in every city, every country. Remove one, another takes their place. The system requires us. Maybe, I concede, but your system ends tonight. The download completes. I pocket the thumb drive, then turn to Vance. Now the final step. You're going to write a confession. He laughs incredulously. Absolutely not. It doesn't need to be comprehensive. Just enough to corroborate the evidence, to provide context. An insurance policy. Against what? You have the records. Against the very thing you just described, the system protecting its own. With your confession attached to these files, It becomes much harder to bury the evidence. Vance studies me, his expression calculating. And if I refuse, I don't answer with words. Instead, I remove the hammer from my jacket, the same hammer that shattered his son's kneecaps. Understanding dawns in his eyes. You wouldn't. 3 months ago, you'd have been right, I tell him, weighing the hammer in my hand. The mailroom clerk would never have had the stomach for this. But I'm not him anymore. Whether it's the calm certainty in my voice or the memory of what happened to his son, Vance believes me. He turns back to the computer, opens a text document, and begins typing. A brief but damning confession, outlining his role in establishing and maintaining a criminal network that includes the East Side Killers and extends into city government. When he finishes, I instruct him to print it and sign it, which he does with visible reluctance. I fold the paper and place it in my pocket alongside the thumb drive. What happens now? Vance asks, his composure finally cracking. You can't possibly think you'll just walk out of here unchallenged. That's exactly what I think, I reply, because you're going to ensure it. And why would I do that? Because the alternative is I use this. I hold up the hammer. To ensure you can't raise an alarm. Nothing fatal, just enough damage to keep you quiet for the hour or so I need to clear the building. Vance pales slightly. For all his power and influence, he's still just a man in his 60s facing someone younger, stronger, and with nothing left to lose. Come on, I say, gesturing toward the door. We're going back to your office so you can make a call. In his office, I direct him to call security and inform them that the bomb threat was a false alarm, that he's personally verified there's no issue on the executive floor, and that normal operations can resume. He makes the call, his voice remarkably steady despite the circumstances. Now what? He asks after hanging up. Now I leave with the evidence, and you decide how you want the rest of this to play out. You think it's that simple? That you can just walk away after this? I smile without humor. Nothing about this has been simple, but yes, I'm walking away. What happens next is up to you. Try to stop me, and the evidence goes public immediately. Let me go, and maybe you have time to get your affairs in order before everything falls apart. Vance's expression hardens. You've made a serious mistake tonight, Holloway. Whatever happens to me, you've made enemies who won't forget or forgive. I've been making those since the day your son shot me in the head, I reply. Hasn't stopped me yet. I back toward the door, keeping my eyes on Vance. He remains seated, watching me with cold hatred, but making no move to stop me. In the hallway, I close the office door behind me, then make my way to the service elevator, retracing my steps from earlier. The security system is back online now, but it doesn't matter. I have what I came for. The thumb drive feels impossibly heavy in my pocket, its contents potentially enough to dismantle a criminal enterprise that's operated with impunity for years. As I exit the building through a service entrance, avoiding the main lobby where security might be on higher alert, I text Briscoe a single word. Done. His response comes quickly. Meet at the location in 30. The location is a 24-hour diner on the edge of downtown, far from both my neighborhood and the financial district. Neutral ground where we've met twice before to exchange information. When I arrive, Briscoe is already there in a booth at the back, nursing a cup of coffee that looks like it's been sitting there a while. You look like hell, he says by way of greeting as I slide into the seat across from him. Feel worse, I admit. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving me shaky and exhausted. Did you get it? I place the thumb drive and Vance's signed confession on the table between us. Briscoe looks at them, then at me, his expression a mixture of disbelief and reluctant admiration. How? He asks simply. Better if you don't know the details, I tell him. Just make sure it gets to the right people. People who can't be bought. He pockets the items carefully. This is going to cause an earthquake. Not just here, but at the federal level. There are names on here that even I didn't suspect. Good. The whole system needs to be exposed, not just the obvious parts. Briscoe studies me for a long moment. What happens to you now, Holloway? Vance won't take this lying down. He'll come after you with everything he has left. Let him try, I say, though the bravado sounds hollow even to my own ears. I'm tired, so tired of fighting, of violence, of living in constant fear and anger. You should disappear for a while, Briscoe advises. I can help with that. Unofficial witness protection, off the books. I'm done hiding, I tell him. Done being invisible. Whatever comes next, I'll face it as myself. He nods, not agreeing, but understanding. It'll take me at least 24 hours to get this to the right people to start the process. Until then, lie low. Don't go home. I've got a place, I assure him, thinking of the small room Jonas arranged before he disappeared. A safe house known only to him and me. As I stand to leave, Briscoe adds, "What you did tonight was illegal, dangerous, and completely outside proper procedure." He pauses, then adds quietly, "It was also necessary." Thank you. Coming from Briscoe, the staunch defender of proper police work, this admission means more than he knows. I nod once in acknowledgement, then head out into the night. My future uncertain, but my conscience finally at peace. The fallout begins the next morning. I watch it unfold on a small TV in the safe house, news anchors struggling to keep up with the rapidly developing story. Breaking news. Major corruption scandal rocks city government. Police officers, judges, city officials implicated in criminal conspiracy. Richard Vance's name appears prominently, his corporate portrait displayed alongside headlines about his arrest in the early hours of the morning. His attorneys issue statements declaring his innocence, promising to fight the charges, but the evidence speaks for itself. Throughout the day, more arrests follow. Police captains led away in handcuffs, a judge removed from the bench in the middle of proceedings, city council members resigning ahead of inevitable indictments. The East Side killers, deprived of both leadership and protection, scatter as police raid their known locations. Darius, already in custody awaiting trial for Mr. Patel's murder, faces additional charges that ensure he'll never see freedom again. The system that protected him for so long has crumbled, leaving him exposed to the full consequences of his actions. I remain in the safe house for 3 days, following events through news reports and occasional updates from Briscoe. When I finally emerge, the city feels different, cleaner somehow, despite the chaos left in the wake of the scandal. It will take time for the wounds to heal, for new leadership to establish itself, but for the first time in years, there's a sense of possibility, of change. My first stop is Mr. Patel's grave. The cemetery is quiet in the late afternoon, sunlight filtering through trees that edge the property. His headstone is simple but dignified, his name and dates carved in elegant script. I place a small bouquet of flowers at the base, then stand in silence for a long moment. It's done, I say finally, speaking to him as if he might hear. They can't hurt anyone else now. I hope that matters, wherever you are. There's no response, of course, just the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. But I feel a sense of completion, of a circle closing. The kind man who served me coffee and wished me good days can rest in peace, knowing justice has been served not just for him, but for all the others harmed by Vance's criminal empire. My next stop is the hospital, where I've learned Trixie is back for a follow-up on her injuries. She's surprised to see me in the waiting room, her eyes widening briefly before a small smile forms on her lips. "Thought you might be dead," she says by way of greeting. "Not yet," I reply, falling into our familiar pattern of blunt communication. "How's the arm?" "Hurts like hell. Doctor says it's healing right, though." She studies me carefully. "You did it, didn't you? Took down the whole operation." "Not me. Briscoe and the FBI did the actual work." She snorts in disbelief. "Right. And I'm sure they just happened to get all that evidence through proper police work." She lowers her voice. Jonas would be proud. The mention of our missing friend brings a moment of shared concern. "Any word from him?" Trixie shakes her head. "Nothing. But he knows how to stay gone when he needs to. He'll surface when it's safe, if it ever is." We walk outside together after her appointment, the late afternoon sun warming the concrete plaza outside the hospital. For a moment, neither of us speaks, content to simply exist in the aftermath of everything that's happened. "What now?" she finally asks. "Back to the mailroom?" I laugh, the sound surprising both of us. That part of my life is over. I need something different. Different how? I consider the question seriously. Something where I can use what I've learned, not the violence, but the rest of it. Helping people who can't help themselves, making a difference. "Social worker?" she suggests with a teasing smile. "Community activist? Superhero?" "Nothing that dramatic," I say, though the idea holds a certain appeal. "Maybe security work to start. It's practical, plays to my strengths." "Your unbreakable bones, you mean?" "Among other things." We part ways with a promise to stay in touch, though both of us know our paths may naturally diverge now that the crisis binding us together has passed. Trixie has her own healing to do, her own future to reclaim from the streets that nearly consumed her. In the weeks that follow, the city begins to recover from the scandal. New appointments fill the vacancies left by corrupt officials. The police department undergoes a comprehensive review and restructuring. The East Side killers, without leadership or protection, fragment into smaller groups that lack the power or reach of their predecessor. I find a small apartment in a different neighborhood, not running away, but simply starting fresh. The money Rajiv gave me provides a cushion while I explore opportunities, eventually settling on work with a private security firm that specializes in corporate whistleblower protection. It's honest work that values my unique condition and newfound skills without requiring violence or vengeance. On my way home from work one evening, I pass a small food cart at a corner where a young man sells coffee and pastries. He looks vaguely familiar, and as I approach, recognition dawns. "Mr. Holloway?" he says, a smile spreading across his face. "I thought that was you." It's Rajiv's cousin, I realize, the one who helped at Mr. Patel's funeral. "We've reopened," he explains, gesturing to the cart proudly. "Not the same location, too many difficult memories there, but the same recipes, the same service my uncle was known for." I order a coffee, large, 1 cream, no sugar, and watch as he prepares it with the same careful attention Mr. Patel always showed. When he hands it to me, the warmth seeping through the paper cup feels like a connection to the past, to the man whose death changed everything. On the house, he insists when I try to pay. Uncle would want it that way. As I continue my walk home, coffee in hand, I notice things I would have missed in my previous life. The mother helping her child learn to ride a bike, the old couple sitting together on a bench, the teenagers laughing as they pass a basketball back and forth. Normal life continuing, people living without fear of gangsters demanding protection money or corrupt officials ignoring their needs. My apartment is small but comfortable, the walls gradually accumulating personal touches. Books I've actually read instead of just owned, a plant I remember to water, a photo of Mr. Patel's coffee cart that Rajiv gave me. Signs of a life being lived rather than merely endured. That night, I step out onto my small balcony, looking out over the city lights. The scar on my forehead has faded somewhat, though it will always be visible. A reminder of the bullet that should have killed me, but instead woke me from a lifetime of invisibility. In the distance, sirens wail briefly before falling silent. Old instincts tense within me, the vigilante not entirely laid to rest despite my new, quieter life. I wonder what's happening, who might need help, whether the reformed police are responding effectively. For a moment, I consider going to investigate, to insert myself into whatever situation is unfolding. The impulse passes, not because I'm afraid or indifferent, but because I've learned there are many ways to make a difference, to matter in the world. Violence is sometimes necessary, but rarely the best solution. I finish my coffee, the last sip now cold, but still somehow satisfying. Tomorrow I'll return to work, continue building this new life one day at a time. I'm no longer invisible Nate, the mailroom clerk who floated through existence without impact. I'm Nathan Holloway, the man with unbreakable bones who refused to be broken in spirit. As I turn to go inside, a familiar voice seems to echo in my memory. Sometimes life surprises us when we least expect. Mr. Patel's gentle wisdom, offered on countless mornings over countless cups of coffee. How right he was. How completely, unexpectedly right.
Every story has an end, but there's always another waiting to be told. Subscribe to Steve's Stories for more sci-fi, dystopian, and war-driven adventures, from short tales to full novels. Like the video, hit the bell, and join me on this journey through worlds unknown.